Yeah, welcome to, well, this is actually a very special episode of Open Your Toys Cast. It'll actually become a discussion episode, so it won't have a number, but this is our 15th fucking anniversary. How many fucking podcasts can say that? Jesus.
Rogan?
Adam Carolla.
Corolla, yeah.
No, you think they've been around? I don't remember them back in the day, but
Adam
maybe.
Curry was like the first real podcast.
Oh, that's right. Former
The
MTV,
MTV
DJ
dude.
Adam Curry. Yeah. He like invented a lot of, like, he's like a fucking billionaire.
Him and comedian Bob Kelly and Colin Quinn, they were like the first, but nobody ever mentions Bob Kelly and Colin Quinn.
I'd say Smodcast, but I don't think Kevin Smith's done a Smodcast in like fucking 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think they came in after us also.
Did they? Because I was
you
still
know.
using when I was listening to Smodcast.
Oh, really? Oh, maybe not then. I don't know. But hey, we're fucking here. Hey, we got Rock and Lotus on. Ew. Oh, ooh, ooh. I need to have one of those sound effect machines. That's what I should have introduced with this episode. Now we're doing sound effects. Be like a morning show up in this bitch.
Morning Zoo.
All right. Well, this is the podcast dedicated to the 4 greatest action figure franchises of the 80s and all time. And those are Rock,
Thundercats, Mask, LGN Wrestling, and Mego.
One of those is amazing.
Right?
I like that. I like the preemptive LJN, not the rest of the wrestling crowd.
Yeah,
just the
just
LJN.
Just LGN.
Hey, Rock, do you know who Lars Fredrickson is?
No.
Uh-oh, did everyone freeze? Oh, shit.
No, I don't know who that
No?
is. No.
No, we're here.
Lars Fredrickson.
Lars Fredrickson, he's the guitarist for Rancid.
No.
The punk band, but he also collects toys, so he's constantly selling shit on his Instagram. He just posted like the other day all these fucking clean as shit LJN wrestlers.
Oh, I actually bought toys from Twiggy from Marilyn Manson.
Oh no shit!
Oh, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't think I've ever bought any toys from anyone famous. Maybe Bobby Skullface. I bought the Moss toys with, for him to sign from him, but that's about it. All right. Well, we want you to kick it with us here every other weekend on Sundays. If you can't make the live show, you can kick it with us in our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/openyourtoys. If you're just looking to know when we post a new show, follow us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/openyourtoyscast. Because there's not really any show notes to put up there for today, I didn't put them up there. But if you want to see the show notes after the fact, you can go to openyourtoys.com, the upper right-hand corner. There'll be a link to the show notes. Next episode, I'll preemptively put those up there so people can see that while we yammer away. You can subscribe to us through Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon podcasts. You can subscribe to the RSS feed, email us at team@openyourtoys.com. Leave us a voicemail or text at 720-235-TOYS. That's 720-235-8697. If you want to support the show, buy your shit after you go to openyourtoys.com/Amazon or openyourtoys.com/eBay. We'll get a few cents. Whew. Where can people find you, Rock?
You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on my YouTube channel. And I signed an NDA, but you will find me on an Amazon TV show coming up soon.
Ooh,
It's hosted
shit.
by, let's just say, a comedian that's small in stature. It's done a lot of movies with The Rock. Kind of rhymes with Schmevin Smart. It is a TV show about people doing funny stuff on their Ring camera.
Oh, that's awesome.
They
Cool.
reached out to me
Wow.
about being on the show. I had to sign an NDA. I had to sign a waiver to clips for them. I licensed into them. Once the show airs, I'll get paid.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's who would think I was actually going to be getting a check from Amazon for I couldn't believe it. I thought it was actually a scam. I had some private messages that said, "Hey, I'm a producer for a TV show. I work for that Schmevin Schmart's production company, and we'd like to use your clips. We're like, no, if you're interested. And I thought it was a scam, so I'm playing along with those, like a Nigerian thing that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I have
Like,
$1 million
"Dear
coming
Prince,
to me.
I'll email you $1 million. Don't worry.
Behold, they sent me contracts and they sent me paperwork, the DocuSign, and it was all legit. But due to the writer's strike and then the other strike, it kind of messed everything up. They went back into production in October. I filmed a segment in like late July for the show, and it's supposed to be airing this fall.
Nice.
That's
Oh
awesome.
yeah, that's fucking dope.
Make the announcement because they haven't been promoting anything with the two strikes.
Yeah.
After and
Yeah.
then one, so they're not even. There's been no promotion for the show, so they've just been recording it, and then you're gonna find it on streaming.
Hell yeah,
On
dude. That's dope.
Shmamazon. I don't know, if you know what I'm talking about, but Shmamazon, you can watch it on.
Oh my god! Wow, that's fucking awesome, Cliff.
Yeah,
what
my
about you,
YouTube is
brother?
probably gonna
Oh.
blow up. I went well over 1,000 subscribers right now. I'm at like almost 1,100. And
yeah.
I mean, the amount of messages I've been getting daily, it's been, you know, I spend a good 15 minutes a day writing back to people. It's
Hell
been, yeah, it might be something I can actually monetize before I can think about it. I just need, now it's more about content reviewed. Like you need a certain amount of hours or a certain amount of shorts viewed.
Followers.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have the followers. I have the subscribers. I just don't have the hours viewed. You need
I see.
4,000. You need like
Yeah,
4,000 hours.
Your videos are very short. If I
That's the
remember.
problem.
yeah. I was gonna say we get 4,000 in
Watching
like
them.
a month, but that's 3 hours versus 15 seconds.
Right. Yeah. But even if you do get monetized, from what I heard, you don't really get much. Because I heard that What's on Joe Mine guys talking about how they get checks for $3 and $8. So it's not
Wow.
like they're
You should
getting.
really start a TikTok, Rock.
Yeah, I'm too old for that shit. But yeah, you'll be seeing more. But I can't even talk about it on social media. I can't even announce it.
Crazy. Yeah.
But yeah, you'll be when I can announce it. I will make a full court press on it.
Hell yeah.
We'll just
dude.
know
Well,
he'll
that's
come on the
fucking
show
awesome.
with all these gold chains. We'll know.
I'll be on the show
Yeah.
like this because I'm too famous. Yeah, I used to do this toy podcast. I used to.
Right on, man. Well, where can people find you, Cliff, brother?
I post on Instagram as Associate of Horror, sometimes in the group as Red Menace.
Nice. Badass.
You can find me here on the show and lurking everybody's Facebook profiles.
Oh yeah. Mr. Lotus.
I don't know. I'm not really participating in anything.
And that's a good thing.
Just goes where
Yeah.
the wind takes him.
People may
Yeah.
have seen where Lotus is, and you would never know.
Apparently, wherever he is, there's Moss Mans.
Yeah, there's apparently fucking Moss Man's at his Walmart.
Is that a big deal? Like, you
Yes.
guys-
Dude, it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to go
Really?
buy it and
they're
flip it.
expensive.
Or,
They were $40.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can probably get $200 for them.
yeah,
Really?
I think the last time I checked, they're going for about 200 on eBay. So
Oh, they're only like 80 on Amazon, but that's
Oh,
$40
are they?
more than I'm willing
Oh,
to pay.
okay.
I'm already barely willing to pay the $39.99. I'll just roll a
Sweet.
Beastman and some Flocky. They'll be fine.
Spray paint them green.
Yeah.
Oh shit. You can find me facebook.com/openyourtoys or at @sickmcfavorite on the gram. Email me at slick@openyourtoys.com. All right. It's the 15th anniversary. We better be drinking some interesting fucking shit here. What you got, Lotus?
Grape Kool-Aid.
Hey, that's a step up. It's not
Yeah.
a Bubba keg of water. So
It's no
hey.
Purple Source Rex, but I'll allow it.
What about you, badass? You make a trip to the specialty store, the specialty
Paradise.
Canadian store.
Paradise Twist, buddy.
All right, that's got to have a description. You can't just
No.
name. No, nothing. They
Dude,
just
in Canada, we don't read. We
put
just
some
drink.
pinks and oranges and
Yeah.
call it Paradise Twist.
We just get drunk. We don't read.
All right, Cliff. What about you, sir?
Well, I knew it was going to be special, so I filled this bottle of water last night and aged it a day for today's episode. So this is room temperature fridge water.
That's amazing. Rock, what about you,
I'm
sir?
drinking an Americano with a splash of caramel in it.
Ooh, nice. And
Yeah.
this is from your machine that does wonders, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The fancy
You want to give a
coffee
shout
machine.
out to your machine?
Rebel Barista Touch, baby. Boop, boop, boop.
Dude, I don't even drink anymore, Rock, but I saw you post pictures of your like booze Keurig, and I was jealous. I was like, he has a booze Keurig.
I hate to say it, but not buying any toys. I've been balling out of control. I bought a new Benz. I've done stone.
Rock, you muted yourself.
You
Yeah.
muted, yeah.
Oh,
You're still muted.
you're still muted somehow. I think you might have turned your speakers off. Hey, we can't hear you. Now you will need tech support.
Nope.
Can somebody message Rock? Does anybody have? I think like a different microphone must have taken over in his settings.
Yeah, it's weird. He was in the middle of talking, and I saw
just
the mute
cut out.
automatically.
Yeah.
I think my foot touched the wire.
Oh,
But
there
no,
you go.
since I-
Oh, there we go.
No, since I stopped buying toys, I've been balling out of control. Traded my Benz in for a bigger, brand new Benz. Stonework. I mean, tomorrow I'm having my stairs ripped out of my backyard. I'm having more stone put in. Yeah, I've just been fucking got a nice E-Class now, luxury edition with the walnut fucking dashboard.
Shit,
Oh my God,
watch
it's like a
out. Oh my
fucking-
God.
Oh my God, it's you feel like a boss driving the thing.
It's
But
like the
yeah.
Italian Ray Donovan over
It's
here.
embarrassing driving up the dump it pulling up to work in it because it's just like everybody thinks I'm making twice what they are, and they're actually a lot of guys make more than I do. But I'm good with my money. But but that machine, Cliff, is incredible. It's called the Bartesian. Oh my God! At the pool, playing fucking cornhole and just making different drinks. It was a fun summer.
Well, this is a family show, Rock.
Yeah.
Who you play cornhole with is your business.
Well, we had a lot of fun at the pool with it.
So we call it bags in Illinois. It's called bags. But I know what you're talking
that's
about.
interesting. Oh, I didn't realize they had different names.
Yeah,
places.
most areas they call it cornhole.
Yeah, I know what it is.
We call it cornhole here.
I've always known it as bags.
I've never heard it called bags before.
Bags is like a
Me
drug
neither.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't play it. I watch people play it, and I'm like, that looks dumb.
It's fun. I thought it was stupid too, but it's a lot of fun. You have a drink in one hand, you're just chucking the fucking bean bags. It's fun.
All right. Cliff's getting a call.
No, it's a text. Halloween is texts. Number on the street is phone call.
Oh, nice. Well, let's see. I'm drinking something I've never seen before. Ooh. It's a motherfucking Arizona hard iced tea.
Oh, no shit.
But that's more than 99 cents.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I didn't even pay attention to how much it was. I just fucking gave him my cash. It got changed.
Oh my God, dude! I used to live off those 99
Is it really
cent
sweet?
Arizonas.
Yeah, dude, it literally just tastes like Arizona. It's got like a little hint of booze at the end, but I mean, it just tastes like an Arizona iced tea. I think because of all the fucking sugar in it, But all right, well, we got some motherfuckers already in the house, his house. Evil King Macro Chronos. God, it's been so long since I listened to his podcast. I can't even pronounce his name correctly.
Macrocranius, right?
Macrocranius. Yes, thank you, Rock. I appreciate that. Giving a 15-year congrats out there. Thank you, brother. Also got Shane Montroy in the house. KJ Smith. Yeah. Cowabunga dude's in here. KJ Smith says Rock's going to be on Cocaine Cowboys. And Shane says farts are finally paying off. That's right.
Sure.
You can rub that in all your parents' face and be like, yeah.
Do you remember just a few months ago where Rock's like, I think I got to stop this. I'm getting too many sexual messages.
But now they're actually like, I mean, I'm getting, I wish I could just tell you, like, I wake up, it is a bunch of like, but I guess maybe those people have died off, but I literally wake up to a slew of messages every day. Like,
what do people comment on farts?
Yeah,
you want to read them? You want me to read them?
Yeah. Let's do some live action.
I have a new fan in Australia that he writes me, boy, quite often.
Quite hard. Jesus.
Nice movement.
Somebody wrote Lord's work. Then the next guy wrote Big Ripper, and he's got a bunch of smiley faces and chunky. That was high class gas. Sounds like you've moved up in social rank. That's when I was farting in front of a pool of a house. It's like a $65 million house in East Hampton. Let me see. Oh, that's the same feed. Let's see. The guy from Australia really likes to write Big Ripper. He wrote that on another one.
Now, are these comments or direct messages?
Comments. I don't do direct. Funny how he looks around to see if anybody's watching. Can't stop laughing.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Let's just see.
Well, when you have 1 million followers, you got to post.
That has some angry grandpa vibes. That fart sounded too squeezy and greasy. Go inspect your drawers. Stop squeezing ducks. Keep up the good work.
These sound a lot like what my wife and daughter tell me when
it's mostly duck season. That execution of that was nothing more than majestic. I can't believe the birds kept chirping after that. I expect to see a dozen or so drop out of the trees. Yeah, I mean, this is like what I wake up to. It just,
That's awesome.
I'm telling you, after this show airs, I do expect to be like deluge. Oh, I didn't even give you the best part. How they found me. The guy who works for this show used to be the producer for Tosh.0.
Oh, yeah.
So the way they found me was my shirt from work. It says the name of the company.
Oh, shit.
They went on my company's Facebook. They went on my company's Facebook and then went and finally found some kind of post that I was tagged in. And then they private messaged me, but I didn't see it because it goes into that spam folder of people that aren't your friends. You need to okay to see it.
I
didn't see it for like a month. And I actually had two different people reach out. One was a producer and one was the guy who does the clearance, the guy that does the licensing. So
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, all right. Well, like I say, this is not going to be our normal show. So if you're here for toy news or a toy fair wrap up, unfortunately, this will not be the show. We'll be back in a couple weeks with all the crazy toy news, pared down to the most exciting over a month at that
Just
point.
the NECA stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But this is our 15th anniversary show. Literally 15 years ago, we released the first Open Your Toys cast, and it was a 000 episode. It was more of a pilot than anything. And man, I've just been so fucking lucky to be part of this community, to have all of these amazing hosts. Most of us are joining us today. Hopefully we're going to get Mrs. McFavorite on here a little bit later. She's been a little bit under the weather this weekend. Vern wanted to come on, but today is Orioles playoff game. And so he has tickets, so he wasn't able to make it, but we'll have a special message from him towards the end of the show. And I don't know if Peter had a good excuse. He said he was going to a friend's house. I don't know if that quite trumps the 15th anniversary.
You're gonna wash my hair
every
tonight.
week.
It better be a friends with benefits.
Yeah, maybe that's the case. I could give him a pass for that.
They could be playing cornhole, so.
But he left us some multiple voice messages that we'll need to play one right after another. I thought maybe he was answering our questions, like one per voicemail. He's like, no, you just need to play them all in a row. I'm just love you, Peter, man. Love you. Vern's is a video though, so that'll be fun. We'll be able to play the video and comment on it while it's playing, so that'll be kind of fun. But yeah, right now, first couple things up, I'm going to do an origins about Open Your Toys, brief history of the show, and then we're really just going to fucking roundtable some shit about collecting, talking about where we came from, where we're at, where we're going. If we get time, maybe a state of collecting 2023, almost 2024. So yeah, hang in there. Should be a fun show. Please, in the comments, ask questions. That's what this is all about. I promise we will get to you if we can. This is funny. I just saw this. KJ Smith says, you promised a Lola's face reveal on this show. Your camera working, Lotus? You want to turn it on?
I'm one of the hosts, and I've never seen Lotus's face.
How about we do a Kickstarter to reveal Lotus's face?
There you go. There you go.
I think if Lotus got 7 figures, he might think about it.
How about this one, Lotus? If you said there was a celebrity, who would you look like?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, I'm just a generic person. That's all.
Just shoot for the stars. Be like, I look like a young Clooney.
Just a generic robot.
I'll tell you what. I have seen Lotus, and he's absolutely right. I think even if you put facial recognition, it would turn up 20,000 people.
Facial recognition.
You could be walking right. I was literally walking right next to Lotus, and I didn't know it was him.
So, like, if you had to give a description to the police, and you had to say what, like, you would be like, he looks kind of like, this guy, him, he looks like that. Like me, be like, hey, Steve Sharippa? Well, he's like 6 inches shorter, but he's got that build. You
can't even draw me.
Wow. Yeah.
Lotus, if you ever have the means, you should come on with your camera on, but backlit, completely in shadow, with like a voice manipulator. Be like you're in witness protection.
So there was a point. I'll give you guys some inside baseball. There was a point where I wanted to use my camera because I wanted to show, like, my toy collection, my statue collection. So I wanted to have that in the background. So I ordered a really cool Spider-Man mask, like a high quality Spider-Man mask, and I never used it. But
never pulled
got
the
a
trigger
GIMP
on
mask.
Lotus, I would have sent you a Jason mask free of charge.
All right. Well, let's see. So, origins of Open Your Toys. So, I've told this story a ton of times, and so longtime listeners, especially everybody on the cast, probably knows this story, but it's worth telling. So when Mrs. McFavorite and I were going to get married, we did our registry, and we didn't go crazy. We did like Target and Amazon, I think, or something. But as a joke, so this would have been 2006. As a joke, we put iPods on there, and this is back when like the generic iPods were like $400 or something like that. And so we each put them on there as a joke. We get married, and one of our well-to-do family friends bought us an iPod, and I was like, oh shit. And so we just took some cash from the wedding, and we both got iPods. And I had already been collecting to a point. I was that guy that walked into Walmart, and we would do our shopping. I was like, I'll go look at the toy aisle. And if a toy reminded me of something that I bought as a as a kid, I would get it. Now, something that had started this back up was episode 1. I went to the first celebration here in Denver right before episode 1, uh, uh, because Denver was the base for the Star Wars collecting club, or not collecting club, Star Wars fan club at the time. So that's why Celebration 1 was held here. And as you can imagine, it was a big show relatively, for not being like Comic-Con or anything like that, for being a very, specific licensed show. It was pretty fucking big. And the showroom was just, oh my God, just blew my mind. And I started seeing things like AFA graded Transformers and all these vintage toys that I fucking had remembered all throughout my life. And so I was like, okay, well, I got to get something. I got to get something episode 1. So I started looking. People already had the figures, even though there hadn't been a release yet. The release was that weekend, the big like toy release, like they used to do with shows. And somebody had a Darth Maul figure, and I was like, oh, holy shit! And it wasn't marked, and he wanted like $80 for it. And I was like, why is this so expensive? He's like, try to find one, and I'm like, oh, okay. I guess that's a fucking threat.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge, And so they did the big toy release, which I was not a part of.
I was
but were you? Nice.
Yes. Me and my buddy Kevin B were lined up at Toys R Us.
Yeah.
Did you get a Darth Maul?
I did.
Ah. So I went a couple days later, and couldn't find a Darth Maul. So I was like, well, some stores got to have it. So I just started going to all these different stores. And this is back when KB was around, and fucking went, and I found one at KB, and I was like, oh my God. And anybody that collects, that does the hunts, fucking knows that little fucking endorphin rush, after driving around, checking 5 or 6 stores, I finally found one for fucking, $4.99. Wow, KB, it was probably $5.99 there. But that really like, oh shit. And so I didn't get crazy, but I would go and check the toy aisle ever since then and buy things I found. Like I found the Robots in Disguise Bruticus, that I was like, oh, this is exactly like the one I had as a kid, which it's not anything like the one you have as a kid, but it was the mold at least. And as soon as we got these iPods, I started listening to podcasts, and found a few toy related ones. One of my favorites was Star Wars Action News. Say what you want about Arnie and Marjorie. There's lots of negative stuff out there, and I'll have a couple negative things to say in a second about them. But they put on a fucking well-produced show, even back then, way back in 2006. Yeah, I actually wish they would do it still. So that became quickly one of my favorites, just the way they covered their news, that kind of stuff. So I sent in a few voicemails. One got played, and then that gave me like the internet famous bug, like, oh shit, I was on a podcast, So Mrs. McFavor and I, I want to say it was in 2008, we did this big loop. We went from, we're based in Denver. We went down through New Mexico to Arizona to California, all the way up the coast of California, to San Francisco. So we went to San Diego, then all the way up the coast of California to San Francisco, and then looped back. And this whole time we were hitting stores left and right. Like I was in the frenzy of collecting. This was during the what would it have been, the 35th anniversary? Am I doing my math right? No. The 30th anniversary of the Star Wars toys. So like when they were doing the McQuarrie line. So I was looking for all the different McQuarrie figures and that kind of shit. And just like, amassed a tub full of finds along the way while we did this road trip. And so when we got back from that, that would have been 2007. So when we got back from that, I recorded this. Oh, hey, I hit that. Brink's in the house. What's so when I got back to the house, I spent probably 2 hours starting and redoing and creating this like perfect like voicemail like cross country toy run for them, and it came in at like 20 minutes. It was ridiculous, but I sent it to them and they never played it. Now that I've put on a podcast myself, would I play a 20-minute voicemail on my show? Probably not, but I was really dejected. I worked hard on that. I spent hours and hours trying to get it perfect and fine-tuned and no uhs and ums and all that kind of shit. So they never played it. Okay, no big deal. 2008, we go out to San Diego Comic-Con, and that's the year the Clone Wars drop. Okay, so we went out to San Diego Comic-Con for our first time. Did all the fun stuff, and then we were going to go to the Toys R Us drop that Arnie and Marjorie were going to be at, and it was like 30 minutes outside of San Diego, and it was a scene. Let me tell you fucking what. That was also the one that Steve Sansweet went to. I didn't know who he was, so I don't know if I don't remember seeing him there, but that was the same one he was at. So there were cosplayers out there. There were just tons of people, and so they're out there, they're doing their thing, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna finally meet them, all this kind of stuff. I go up to me and I told them everything. I'm like, yeah, and I left you guys like a 20-minute voicemail, like I understand why you didn't, and they just kind of like fluffed me off. They're just like, oh great, thank you, and then just kind of walked off. And I'm just like,
fucking loser.
What the fuck? Yeah. Here's the guy that's been sending us voicemails every show for a year.
Arnie, even though he's half the size of Marjorie, put his arm. He's like, back up.
Exactly. And so they're just nonchalantness really fucking pissed me off, dude. I was just like, who the fuck do these people think they are? Do they actually think they're famous? Blah, blah, blah. All the anger that goes along with fucking being rejected, essentially, And so right then and there, I was like, we're going to do our own fucking podcast and we're going to compete with these people and fucking, and I'm kind of thinking of it like business, and we're going to fucking put them out of business.
Ruin them, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
But one of those two podcasts is still recording, Slick.
Hey.
Yep.
Yeah. Do they even do Now Playing still? Because I know they.
Oh my God, do they? They have a humongous Patreon too. Because they have. I still listen to that. I cherry pick movies only that I've seen. If it's something I haven't seen, I skip it. But I still listen to it occasionally. And yeah, they have quite a big Patreon. I'm assuming because they have different tiers of Patreon where you can pay and tell them what movies to do next, and you can subscribe and it'll do like a series of movies. Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah,
I'm sure if you want to. I mean, I could probably research while we're doing the show, but I can look on Patreon and just tell you how many members they have, and then you could tell how much money they're bringing in approximately.
Yeah, I'd be curious because I continued. Now Playing is one of my favorite fucking movie podcasts too. And so like I say, no ill will towards them. They're busy people. They had an agenda. They were filming. They had fucking cameras and booms and all, all this kind of shit. And so they really were the impetus for me starting Open Your Toys. And for the longest time, these were the only like 4 lines I really cared about. I would buy shit from other lines if I saw, like, I have some Michelangelos because he is my favorite turtle and all that kind of shit. But and so it was one of those things where we're just like, fuck it, we're gonna do it. And so we went back. So that would have been July of 2008. So I started putting things together, designing a logo, getting a website, all this kind of things. And the whole reason why we're called Open Your Toys is because they constantly talked about the rule of 3. They bought one to open, one to keep sealed, and one for later, which now I understand they bought one to flip, essentially, at some point. And but lots of people would come on there and they talk about their toys, but they wouldn't open them. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
No, and like I say, I've learned an amazing appreciation for mint in box, seal carded collectors. I do it with some things, with a lot of things actually, but it just, at the time I was just like, why the fuck would you buy something and not open it? It makes no sense to me.
So I have the Patreon data. They have 337 patrons, and their bottom tier is $5, goes up to like $10, but or it keeps going. Still, you're talking about a guarantee that's $1,700 a month coming in. Plus, Patreon probably takes 15%.
Plus, there's what, 4 hosts?
Yeah.
Yeah,
at least they're getting something for their time.
Yeah.
But the production value on that show is really good.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. They must, they talk about going and seeing movies like 2 or 3 times in the theater and like trying to take notes in the dark. Like, I give them their props, like I say, they didn't really treat me with the respect I felt I deserved as just a human being. Not that I was anyone special. But again, no ill will towards them. They're the impetus for this. They drove this. And so when I started figuring out my angle, there was no one doing Joe at the time. I think there was one podcast doing Transformers. No one was doing Masters at the time. And so I was like, I'm just going to do all fucking 4 of them. So, and Mrs. McFavorite and I started, like, I didn't fuck around. Like, we started with XLR mics with a mixer that had a USB interface. And we would sit in our living room and I would broadcast my laptop onto our fucking big screen TV in the living room. And just the way we do it on fucking YouTube right now, I would click on a link, it would come up, and I'd be like, this is something I'm going to buy. And Mrs. McFavorite would say, why the fuck are you going to buy that? And it just kind of, it was, I really loved the husband and wife dynamic that Arnie and Marjorie had. And so that's why Mrs. McFavorite was like the perfect choice for it. Was she was collecting at the time, but just knickknacks and doodads and that kind of thing. Of her
Ghostbusters was her focus, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like that was the only like action figure thing she really cared about. And so it was fun. It was like, it was what I thought was a hardcore collector talking to a layman and trying to explain things, because especially when I started with podcasts, like I didn't know about conventions. I didn't know about exclusives. I didn't know about, store exclusives, all this kind of shit. And so it was me explaining that stuff to Mrs. McFavorite in a way that could hopefully help like newer collectors start understanding this stuff better. Like,
so you're the original toy mansplainer.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Now listen, woman, this is what's called an exclusive, and these are hard to find.
Pity the fool.
They only made 3,000 of them, so they're worth a lot. Do you understand that?
In 4 years, they'll be worth less than you paid retail.
I know, exactly. Oh my god.
Oh, remind me later to tell you about Dr. Mindbender. Like, fuck all this modern toy bullshit. I can tell you that stuff. But I'll wait till Jason's done deleted.
So so that's kind of the origins of Open Your Toys cast. And then so Mrs. McFavor and I did that for Jesus, what I mean, so Little Miss McFavorite was born in 2012. So I think we did it pretty solid up until Mrs. McFavorite got pregnant. So that would have been like, well, no, because see, and this is where I should have done my homework. I can't even remember the history of my own fucking podcast.
But when you guys came onto my show, was she pregnant yet, or was she?
Well, what year? See, I can't even remember.
Yeah, I don't even
when we
remember
came on.
what year.
You mean the show you did with Chuck, right? Chuck from the toy show you did with Chuck from Star Joe's?
Yeah,
Roger.
Yeah.
No, wasn't it?
No,
We came on your show when you
Yeah.
were doing it with your buddy that lived up there.
Yeah,
weren't
yeah,
you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
I don't even remember that dude's name, but
Dave.
yeah.
Oh, I remember that show.
Yeah.
What
yeah.
was the name of your show again?
Oh fuck.
He can't even remember.
Well, that makes me feel not as bad if you can't remember the name of your
Guys
but it
with
was
toys. I'm pretty.
Yeah,
This is
Guys
like,
with
hey man,
Toys.
what was that original band we were in 2008? I don't know. That band sucked.
So we did a lot of stuff. I mean, we went on What's on Joe Mind when they first started coming out.
That's where I
McFavorite
found out who you were through them. 'Cause I
was
remember
through
you
them.
going on their show. Yeah, because I used to listen to them.
I
way
mean,
back
they were huge in the community, and so like right out of the box.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on one second here. Right out of the box, and I had met them at Joe Cons, and so they had me come on their show. They came on my show. Mrs. McFavorite did the girls only show of What's on Joe Mind, which was really cool. That was awesome to hear all the wives talking about everything. But we kind of evolved from there. And at our peak, I mean, this is fucking insane to think. At our peak, because we were in MP3, it was all based on downloads. There wasn't even Stitcher yet. We were at like 5,000 downloads per show, which is just fucking mind-blowing to me. But
Hey,
then we
Slick,
took yeah.
I got receipts of our first conversation ever.
Oh shit. Luckily those are blurred out by the brightness.
I'll talk about it when we get to my history.
Yeah, we'll
You
definitely.
don't
And I
delete
don't
that
think
stuff?
What?
You don't delete that? You keep that in your phone forever?
No, it's just Facebook Messenger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, so it always saves you, like when you talk to somebody, the message just keeps going. It never deletes old
okay.
messages.
So yeah, it was one of those things where we just kind of kept going. I wasn't ever worried about community. You know, Twitter was huge at the time, and I had, like 800 followers on Twitter, and I was super active because it was an easy thing at my job. I could take a 5-minute break and drop into Twitter and retweet a couple people and respond to a couple things. And then Mrs. McFavor got pregnant, and she was kind of, a big thing about the show was our drinking, like we wanted to do. And I forget where we got, what are we drinking? We got that from another podcast. I want to say the Totally Rad Show, but I don't know. Anyways, we got What You're Drinking from something else. And so we just would have a blast with it. We'd be taking shots and drinking beer. And well, she'd be drinking Sparks at the time, that kind of thing. So when she got pregnant, that kind of wasn't as fun, that kind of thing. So we took a huge break. We stopped going to shows, all that kind of thing, because the shows was another big thing. Like, you know, at the time I had a little bit of inheritance, and so we would go to Comic-Con every year. We would go to every Joe Con, every Bot Con, all that kind of thing. So I would try to take videos of the panels that never worked out well. I tried to do live streaming, never worked out well. So I never became that panel or that show guy like Pixel Dan has become, you know, where he goes to shows and does walkthroughs. But that was the hope. We never really got into interviews because I didn't want to have to fucking worry about bringing somebody on and being all professional and not crossing lines and shit. So we never did interviews.
He's gonna sneeze.
Did he freeze?
Okay, good. I'm just happy he froze and it wasn't me.
Yeah, I thought everybody did.
I thought he entered the Matrix.
He's getting ready to sneeze. Just give him a second.
So, Rock, it's good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, you might be the last time you see me for a long time, unfortunately, though.
That's hurtful. We got to talk about horror movies. I saw X.
Oh, okay.
All right, hold on. Does everybody? Okay, I'm finally on. Sorry, I'm back. My bad. And so when I wanted to bring it back, the whole goal was to do more of a round table, and I think I ripped that off from somebody else as well, where I wanted to have an expert from each line come on, and at the time that was going to be Dave for Star Wars. Cliff, I think you weren't involved yet.
I was not involved at all. Yeah, I was just
So it was Dave for G.I. Joe. It was Vern for Star Wars.
Swage was Transformers, right?
I believe so. And then so Vern, Dave, Swage, and who else was on there? Shit. That's awful of me.
It wasn't Peter?
To remember. It might have been Peter. This is why I should have rehearsed it. But anyways, we wanted to do a round table.
Episodes, won't you just?
Well, that's what I should be doing right now, or somebody else can go through those. So I know it's about episode like 93 or something like that, where we started doing the round table. Let me see, passionants.
I'll keep talking. I'll look at.
Okay, you be our fact checker, and so that worked out well for a while. Everybody knows Swage, and if you've been listening to it since then, Swage and Dave kind of had clashing personalities. Dave was just a guy that just wanted to come on and have some fun. Swage was the guy that wanted to give everybody shit. And, you know, I grew up with all my friends, all of us giving each other shit all the time. So to me, it wasn't a very big deal. But later I found out to Dave, it was a big deal. And that's the whole thing with bullying nowadays is, you know, it really kind of draws my attention to whatever you think is kind-hearted and all in fun and that kind of stuff. Somebody else is probably taking that the wrong way, and whether they should or should not take it the wrong way isn't the point. The point is that you shouldn't treat other people that way. So that was kind of a falling out.
Well, let me tell you, as a listener, it was rough. Like, you could feel it. Like it was really uncomfortable as just a listener.
Well, and seeing and once it got brought to my attention, I started paying attention. It was kind of like the What's on Joe Mind guys with Chuck.
Yeah, they used to burn Chuck into the ground.
Yeah, to me, they were like mistreating. Like at first, it was like, haha, poking fun.
It was mainly Gary, but yes.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah.
It got out of hand, though. It got out of hand.
They brutalized him. It was awful. Yeah.
Yeah,
He was hilarious,
and
too.
so I see what you're saying is, that started making me feel uncomfortable on what's on Joe Mai because of that kind of stuff.
But also, he didn't buy any GI Joes. He bought wrestling figures and Transformers.
Yeah,
So
I
don't know why. I don't know why he was on a GI Joe podcast, unless he was the one doing the technical stuff, which I don't think it was him anyway. I believe it was Gary doing the editing.
Yeah,
So I don't know why he was even on there.
and
Comic
that's
relief?
where Open Your Toys had some issues too, because Mrs. McFavor would do all the editing, so that would lead to a lot of shows getting released later than I hoped it would have been, and that kind of stuff, and that started causing an issue in our relationship. So when Vern came on, he took over those duties and did an amazing job with them. And then eventually we get Lotus on, and Lotus takes over those. And I think there was like a final straw with Vern, where like I praised Lotus on a show, and he got really upset about that because he felt I had never praised his work on the show as much as I was giving props to Lotus for what he was doing. And I think the biggest thing was Lotus was keeping me on track. Like when it was just Mrs. McFavor and I, we would go a month without a show just because we just wouldn't get around to it. Lotus kind of instilled this, like, and not in a bad way, but like, hey, don't waste my time. If we're not going to do this regularly, if we're not going to do this kind of shit, then it's not worth it. And so that's Lotus really brought the regularity, the every other week, like I'm going to be there because Lotus says we need to be there. Do you feel that's the case, Lotus?
Yeah, I'm basically the Mucinex of the show.
A hell of a drug.
No, or actually Mucinex. That's not the right. What's the laxative? The regularity thing is. Anyway, it's a fiber.
Metamucil?
Metamucil. That's what it is. Yeah, Metamucil. No. I just wanted to keep everything on track, and I was doing the editing, and I don't know. That was a little weird that, unfortunately Vern felt that way because, that's not what any of us wanted.
Yeah. But, and it opened up my eyes that I wasn't appreciating what you guys go through, like Rockcliffe, Badass, Dave, Swage, Vern, like, to me, I was like, I'm doing so much. It takes me 2 hours to do the show notes. It takes me 2 hours to write the post. It takes me all this kind of time. And I wasn't being appreciative of your time, because whether you just come on and talk toys for 3 hours or not, it's still an obligation, and that was the other thing with Vern, was the obligation. Is Vern is a huge sports fan. Like I say, he's not here today because he has Orioles playoff tickets and that kind of stuff. He was a huge sports fan. So in the winter, he would be MIA most days because our show would conflict with football Sunday. And I started talking shit during shows he wasn't on. And so that was something that aggravated him as well. And again, it was all in fun. It just like we talk about why this person isn't here, that person isn't there. But it was an eye opener to me that I need to be more sensitive to people in general.
I've had a lot of conversations with Vern recently because he wanted to know if I was going to Baltimore Comic-Con, and I was going to go, and I was just like, honestly, I have no interest in going. So we were chatting back and forth and texting, and when he got out of collecting after he left the podcast, he literally told me, he goes, I'm looking at tens of $1,000s worth of toys, and I have credit card debt. He sold everything, wiped out all his debt, like, and now I have a nice nest egg. And he was just like, I can rebuy this stuff. Yeah. So he kind of got to the point, kind of like where I'm at right now. And I see why it happens, and I'll get to that later. But like I ran into Ed Arndt and a guy, Gil Tucker. They're pretty big in the Guild of Calamitous and Content group. And they're also big in the G.I. Joe group. But I think fatigue, just after a while, I think collecting fatigue, it's burnout. and you just sometimes you're just overwhelmed with it, and you don't want anything to do with it anymore.
Yeah,
I think that could happen. I mean, it's because I think it's happens to a lot of hosts. I mean, look at Peter stopped doing the show, Bird stopped doing the show. I think it's another part of it too. It gets become all encompassing, and after a while, it's like there's all this shit out there.
Mrs. McFavorite doesn't buy in. She'll buy our daughter's into pops, and so she'll buy a pop every once in a while because Mackenzie likes it for Mrs. McFavorite's collection and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean it's crazy when you think about this show and you think about that it's been 15 years, and now, like I say, the state of collecting nowadays is just insane. Like I can't imagine how anybody keeps up with this in general, unless you're like a one-line person or you're a millionaire or something. But
if you're a millionaire, you're not really buying toys. You're buying other stuff right now.
Brinkalizer says, I found Open Your Toys because a toy tuber that I know, T2RX6, mentioned it once in passing. So yeah, T2RX6 was one of my good online friends. Justin Jonitis, if anybody's familiar with him. It was just one of those things where, and now we've kind of gone through, I wouldn't call it a carousel. What's the right word? We've gone through a few hosts, but we've settled in, Lotus. I'm sure you're going to talk about your collecting journey here in a moment. Has come and gone. Vern's come and gone. Dave and Swage, that might be a different thing. I know Dave still collects. I don't know if Swage collects or not at this point. But yeah, it's been a fucking wild ride, and it's been really interesting to see the evolution of not only collecting, but of the people that have meant the world to me. I mean, fucking you guys and our active listeners, that means the world to me. I'm barely part of my local group here. I'm barely part of any other groups. Our Open Your Toys cast group.
So Jason is basically the Howard Stern of toy podcasting, and Vern was Jackie the Joke Man. And then who's going to be, Swage was Artie Lang. So basically, Howard is still in position, and and I'm just Baba Booey.
Baba Booey.
So to fact check Slick from earlier, episode 92 was credited to you and Mrs. McFavorite.
Okay.
And then 93 is Dave, Roger, Swage, Vern, Slick.
Okay. So I totally forgot, Roger.
I was there.
You were the Motu guy.
So
you
were our Motu. Okay, I didn't know if you were our GI Joe, because back then you were helping me with GI Joe nonstop.
I should have been your GI Joe guy.
So you must have been Motu as a fallback, because
Swage was
Transformers.
Yeah.
Vern would have been Star Wars.
And Vern was Star Wars.
Yeah. And Dave definitely wasn't Motu, because Dave was.
Yeah, so that's probably what it was we made Dave G.I. Joe and you Motu.
Wait, that wasn't Flag Points Dave, was it?
It was, USS Flag Dave.
Oh,
really?
Because
it was also Flag Points Dave. He used to have an awesome G.I. Joe toy podcast.
Well, I don't know if he was Flag Points
no,
Dave.
no,
On Pop Culture Network, they called him USS Flag Dave.
Okay, then maybe it's a different guy. But it was a Flag Points Dave.
This is Dave Draper.
Yeah.
Oh, that date. Oh,
yeah,
their podcast is done too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dave and
Duvall sold everything at auction.
But did they announce the podcast was over?
But Duvall was always talking about his credit card debt and stuff, so he had to do it for financial.
Duvall auctioned it off. He had Pixel Dan over to pick what he wanted before it all went.
Because I remember the other guy was always talking about like he needed roof work done or he needed tree work done. Everything was thousands of dollars, and he's like, oh, maybe I might not buy this because I have this other big bill coming up. Did they announce the podcast was over? Because I just noticed it hasn't been a new episode in a long time.
I think I don't know. I follow Toy World Order fans on Toy World Order fans on Facebook. I think they just said we're kind of done.
Okay.
I don't remember anything.
It's kind of like Star Joe's. Star Joe's is basically like on the, what do you call it? When it's like about the flat line, it's like it's on life support.
Yeah.
I just like the memes
they made it
post.
more. they made it more comic related, and then they started having the artists on there, right? The GI Joe guy that they were
I mean, I'm
friends
good
with.
friends with Ryan and Chuck, but basically it
No.
was more episodes about promoting Kickstarters, people doing Kickstarters, and they got away from the roots of what they used to do, about a lot of GI Joe stuff and Star Wars talk. And Ryan said he wanted to do 300 episodes and end the podcast, and this year he wanted to put out like an episode every other week, and he did 2 all year. And it's just like he's working on his own comic book, and he's having a hard time getting the other guys together. And he's same thing. He's gone through a ton of hosts as well.
Yeah.
And I honestly think it's just we're getting to an age where this stuff just doesn't mean as much to a lot of us anymore. Like I just turned 48. I'm like a couple weeks ago, me and Melissa were in Walmart. Oh no, we were in Target. Excuse me. We were in Target. We went through the Halloween stuff, and I'm like, let me just look through the toy aisles for shits and giggles. And she's like, you're going to be 48 years old. You're still looking at this shit. And it was just like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, I didn't buy anything. I just wanted to look because I haven't looked in months. So I'm like, let me just see what's out there. And I'm like, yeah, that does nothing for me anymore.
Just Suppose says Lotus traumatized me on my first time trying to enter a live show discussion. I jumped off the stream. I wasn't ready to join the show.
Hey, Juxtapose, don't worry about it. When I used to podcast with him, I'd be scared shit that all of a sudden this would happen. My beard would rub against Rock. Your mic's rubbing against your beard.
But these are the memories. But
are
Rock,
you drinking? Are you drinking?
These are the memories, Rock. These are.
How many times? Because I didn't realize I was podcasting with the iPad and my my corded AirPods, and he'd be like, your mic's touching your beard again."
About Figs 155 says, are you talking about this because you plan on taking a hiatus? I don't catch you guys live much because of work, but always cool to catch you guys
listen
live.
on iTunes.
Yeah, exactly. No, and he does. No hiatus coming yet. No, I'm just kidding.
Or are we? And
then here's Lucas James, which we all thought was you, Lotus, because of your name change on Facebook.
I don't think I ever told the 7-Eleven story.
Oh, that's right.
I have 2 different 7-Eleven stories, but I know this one I definitely didn't tell. I'll save it. Remind me.
Yeah, Lucas says, holy shit, Rock is back. Does he have any more How I Got Fired stories? We will have one more, that's for sure. So again, I am not doing justice to people like Roger. I apologize. I didn't even remember that you're part of that original. That is completely my fault. See, we go to the appreciation, right? Not appreciating you from being here from episode 93. But you yourself took a break for a long time
Me
too,
and
right?
Swage had a thing, and that's why I left the show.
Oh, wow. So Swage just was like the poison pill of this podcast.
Dude, he was ruthless to me one time, and I was tired, and I wasn't having him. I was like, basically, fuck you, I'm done. Like, when you're done on the show, maybe I'll come back, but I'm not.
Wow, I'm glad you came back. So
Swage was the stuttering John of the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh shit. All right. So that's kind of a brief history. Now I'll bring you up. We went from audio to video and all that kind of stuff. And now, to me now it's worked into my schedule really well. It's pretty easy for me to do. The editing of the podcast is like next to nothing now that we don't have the cool vintage commercials, which I stole that from another podcast, like
I stole that from another podcast. I used to do it on mine all the
time. So I didn't realize we were going to get this late, but let's go ahead. Let's start round tabling some shit here. Why don't we combine these 2 questions? We'll do how did you get into collecting and what were some of your favorite things to collect? And we're going to round table this, but first, and I think it was Lucas James, right? Or was it a different person that was giving me shit about the 1 chip challenge last show? somebody was on me. They were like, "Eat
Someone-
it now!"
Somebody was
Eat it.
writing in all caps. That's why I remember. something.
Yeah.
I listened to it the
And
other
I'm
day.
like, yeah, I was like, this person's yelling at me. He's like, I'm not yelling.
Do it.
But
Do
here,
it.
yeah, let me get my daughter in here. Kens, come in, babe.
Wait till Cliff gets back. You have to do it while Cliff's there.
Oh yeah, we'll wait till Cliff
Buttons
gets
Big Boom
back,
Boom or
but-
whatever his other identity. He's probably watching it on his cell phone while he's smoking.
Yeah, probably.
Duke Fisticuffs. That's what it is.
Yeah, Duke.
Yeah. He's probably like running downstairs. Don't rush, Cliff. No big deal. All right, we're still waiting. Here, come show your ugly mug on the camera here. Oh, here, how can I do this? Here, squeeze in there. Come be on the podcast. All right. So, if you've been listening to this show from the beginning, this one wasn't even born yet. How old are you now, Little Miss McFavorite?
11.
11. Oh my God. So crazy. She's rocking the Hogwarts shirt. All right, Cliff. Come on and get back. But so what we're gonna do, or what not we're gonna do, what I'm gonna do is this fucking ridiculous thing here. The Poke one chip challenge.
Oh, God.
So the warnings here are keep out of the reach of children. Intended for adult consumption. Do not eat if you are sensitive to spicy foods, allergic to peppers, nightshades, or capsaicin, or are pregnant or have any medical conditions. After touching the chip, wash your hands with soap and do not touch your eyes or other sensitive areas. I'll tell you a story about hot stuff and sensitive areas once she's not in the room. Seek medical assistance should you experience difficulty breathing, fainting, or extended nausea. Yeah, here we go.
I'm just in time. Great.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
dude.
are.
It's
Yes,
happening.
you are.
It's happening.
Here's Rock chiming in.
Gotta go solo layout.
Solo layout? Okay, I will. All right, here we go. Okay.
Shouldn't you wait until right before we sign off, Slick?
No, because I want everybody to see. I'm gonna try to. So the whole thing with the one chip challenge is you're not supposed to drink or eat anything after you do it. So I'm gonna see how long that lasts. I do have a full glass of milk here.
Is your daughter wearing a Guar shirt?
No. That is hilarious.
And now just think that glass of milk has been sitting out for over an hour.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
It's gonna be nice and warm.
You're gonna be very
gross
like that afterwards if you drink that.
Okay, so here's the unboxing. So this
now,
is what
are
it
you gonna
looks
let it
like
sit-
here.
Are you gonna let it sit on your tongue, or
No, I'm gonna eat it like a chip.
It's not Holy
And then
Communion.
We're gonna see.
Yeah.
What?
I'm gonna eat the whole thing.
The whole thing in one bite, bro.
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 With the body of
Sorry.
Cheeto.
We've taken it back in this house. We all call each other bro. Okay, here it says what to expect. Made with Carolina Reaper pepper and Naga Viper pepper, this vicious chip was created for the vengeful pleasure of intense heat and pain. So first there'll be a swift strike to the mouth, senses recoil, Viper hypnosis, abdomen attack.
Abdomen
and
attack.
Abdomen. Thank you. I knew that didn't sound right. Abdomen attack, and then serpent spiral. All right.
Well, prayers to Mrs. and Little McFavorite for the bathrooms tonight.
Yeah.
So it says the rules for the challenge. Read the warning, eat the entire chip, wait as long as possible before drinking or eating anything, and then post your reaction on social. Well, I'm not going to post my reactions, but
I'll be clipping this. Don't you worry.
This is a meme.
All right, so here we go. So it's got a little rip thing here.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And I'm actually not going to touch the chip.
Yeah, I would not.
Look how. Oh, now it's
You
all
are
over
now.
my keyboard. Yeah.
Yeah, you are
it's on
now.
his keyboard.
It's melting the plastic.
So when you talk about dustings on chip, this whole thing is like encrusted. This is not like a. Oh my god. Okay,
It's a very nice appetizing
You
color.
need to be
smell
on
like?
camera. This is why.
What does it
Okay,
smell
yeah.
like?
Oh, that's. I don't want to smell too close. I'll suck the powder up. It smells like a super hot pepper.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Okay. Whew. Here we go.
Oh shit! You did it.
Not too hot.
Yeah, that's famous last words.
Yeah.
Not too hot.
Peppers don't react instantly.
He's from the land of green chilies, guys. Come on.
That's true.
This is true. I eat the hottest stuff I possibly can everywhere I go. It's hot.
Jesus Christ.
It's not like my life is ending. Here comes the heat.
Here comes the. We should have ordered
Come on,
him.
guys.
He's turning red already.
You might need some Jello pudding.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay. Now it's getting really hot, really uncomfortably hot.
Should have an
Come
ice
over
pack.
here. Get in the view.
Watch your dad have a heart attack.
My eyes are starting to water.
She's never seen her dad cry.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay. It's hotter than I expected. Come on, come laugh in front of the picture. I'm the only person.
Over under, how long does it take him before he has to go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
All right, nose is starting to snot. Can you go get me a tissue, just so I'm not snotting all over the place?
Is it uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Oh, okay. Well, let's go on with the show.
I'm going to turn my camera off.
Yeah, and cry in the corner a little bit.
And mute.
Okay. It's really hot. It's breathtaking. Okay, so while we start, I'm going to put us all back on. Okay, it's getting really, really hot now.
It's been 2 minutes. I've been keeping track.
All right, Lotus, why don't you talk about how did you get into collecting and what were some of your favorite things to collect?
Okay. Probably started with video games. Was more so collecting the actual game systems. So I was just trying to get back, my childhood and basically bought every game system imaginable. And I was looking for stuff that was basically new, sealed in the box. So it took me a little while, but I was able to have a really nice vintage collection, and I'd have them all inside the Billy bookcases and everything. And then I ended up going ahead and I actually started my YouTube channel back, I think it was 2013 is when I started selling selling a lot of stuff. So that's when you'll see like those old videos of me kind of, putting those up for sale, because back in the day, you could actually embed the YouTube videos in the eBay listings. You were able to actually embed those videos. So I was just using YouTube as a tool. But yeah, so that was like I probably started collecting those, I don't know, around maybe it was like 2006. And then, like I said, I started selling it off around 2013. but then I just started, around the same time, I was also like picking up different G1 transformers, and I started buying stuff that was open, and then I wanted to buy sealed stuff, so I was looking for that. I don't know, I was just, I have a good career even, back then, and so money really wasn't a problem for me, so I just would buy stuff. Did I really? I was just buying it just to kind of put it on display, kind of going through those motions. I don't think I really enjoyed anything because, like I said, I just kind of kept everything in the box, and just had it as a display. It looked nice in the house, at least I thought it did.
Here, Brinkalizer has a question for you
Mhm.
along that line. As hopefully my daughter's bringing
Yeah.
me the entire tissue box here.
So yeah, I did have an AV switch for all the consoles, but so I had two sets so when I started originally, I was just buying open box consoles, just to kind of bring me back to the day of Genesis and Nintendo and TurboGrafx 16 and Sega CD and basically everything. And then I just started, once I had that out of my system, that's when I started buying the boxed sets where everything was like brand new or as close to new as possible. But yeah, I'm not a gamer. I don't really. I just get really really bored with games, and so I'm just not into games. I'm more into the hunt. Like when PS3 was coming out, I'd be in line waiting overnight for that. PS2, PlayStation 1, all that stuff I waited overnight for. But it was mainly just to get the system, and maybe I'd play it once or twice, and then I'd end up just selling it. But anyway, I would just collect all this high end stuff, from Transformers, all the G1 box stuff. I don't know. I just I don't know what I was doing really. I look back at it and I'm just like, was I doing it just to kind of fit into the fandom? I was listening to obviously Open Your Toys podcast. I was listening to Radio Free Cybertron. I was listening to a lot of different toy for Arnie's podcast. I was Marvelicious Toys, and I don't know. I kind of look back at all this stuff, and I have all the pictures of everything that I've purchased throughout the years, and so I don't know. So I'll move on from Transformers. I sold all the Transformers, and then I got into just focusing on Masterpiece. So then I was Transformers Masterpiece. So got rid of all the G1 stuff and just had the Transformers Masterpiece, and then that was kind of getting out of hand because they were doing all kinds of different repaints, and I was just kind of fed up with that. So then I kind of moved away from that, and I moved into a little bit of third party Transformers. And then I just got out of all Transformers and just got into statues, just spending thousands of dollars on these statues. And it's funny because now, well, it wasn't just statues, it was actually Hot Toys. I was buying Hot Toys before statues, so went through the Hot Toys phase and then ended up selling the Hot Toys and then got into statues. And it's funny because it's just like this all stopped for me around, I think it was like 2015 is when I just really started to get, where I was just to the point where I was like, what am I doing here? I just spent, $3,500 on Hulkbuster. The thing literally is, it's, almost 3 feet wide and, 4 feet tall. And I'm just like, I don't know. Why am I doing this? And, so I don't know. I just kind of just got out of everything, and I don't know if I really got any enjoyment from anything, honestly. I think I was just going with the flow, you know? And because I have the means to do it, it just doesn't it didn't phase me. So it's just, I'm just going with the flow. It's like, I don't know.
I know exactly how you feel, Lotus. I've
just
I've
don't
reached
know.
that point recently. I know
Yeah, I
exactly
think
how you
Rock,
feel.
you're very similar to kind of the way that, me and you, I think we kind of did the same thing. I know you're really heavy into AFA stuff, and it's just, I think, we both we buy stuff just to kind of have that toy room kind of a thing, and then does it really, like, it seems like it's fun for just a little bit. Like, I enjoyed when I got a new statue and I'd put it together, and then I'd set up the lights and it would be really cool, and then that dopamine or whatever it was kind of only lasted for maybe that week, and then I'm just like, okay, I just spent $4,000 on a polystone thing that is highly fragile, and how am I going to sell this?
I think a big part of it is feeling like part of the community, like posting
Yeah,
something online. Hey guys, look what I just got in,
yeah,
and then it just wears that thrill wears off after a while.
yeah. I mean, I did a bunch of different videos on my channel of the various things, which is I'm glad I did start the channel for that. My channel is not monetized. I don't make any money off of any of that. But so then I ended up selling the statues, and then I got into animatronics, and I started building robots from the 80s,
What about the
rebuilding these.
GoBots?
Oh, well, the GoBots. Yeah, I did the GoBot, and I still get people messaging me, why did you open those up? You could have had, and people don't understand. Like, I don't care about the money. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just, it was a fun little experience to be able to experience opening up GoBots. I didn't really have a lot as a kid, but as an adult, I can buy what I want, which is, something that I worked hard for. So yeah, I mean, I still have the Go Box collection. The world's smallest collection. I still have that. Um, Honestly, guys, they're not even on display. They're in totes. I know that's sad, and people would, really, they it's if they had those two collections, they would probably be like, why aren't you displaying? Like, I just really don't care. I lost it all. I totally lost it all.
That's where I'm at right now. I have no care at all in the world for this stuff right now.
Yeah. So that's basically, kind of what I went through. But I honestly, looking back at it, I really wanted to, I felt like I wanted to be part of the community. And, that was a way for me to, kind of get into the different forums and stuff. Cause I used to be part of all that stuff, all the different forums for Transformers, and for more so on the statue side and the hot toy side. I was more of a contributor for that. The Transformer stuff, I was more of a lurker. Um, but I mean, I don't know. I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad that I went through that journey. But I just, like I said, I just lost the. I went through a phase, guys, where I was collecting gold bars. I, it's just something, and I no longer have those gold bars. I sold them, but I went through a phase where I was just trying to collect different things. So
do you feel like it was something to keep your mind busy? Because if people don't know, and you should know, I mean, Lotus is hyper intelligent, genius scale, probably, I would
I'm not.
say.
No, I'm not any kind of a
Eh,
genius. I just.
I don't know. There's characteristics there, but do you feel like that's why you feel the need to collect? Is it because you don't drink, you don't do drugs,
Right. I don't. I have
you
nothing
don't
else.
do anything else? So do you think it was a way to like distract yourself?
No, I think, like I said, I think it's more of just kind of trying to fit in, into these different communities, and to see, if, I think it's more of just to kind of fit in, and just to find, you know, friends all over the world, you know.
Yeah.
I think pretty much that's why I did it, you know. But I don't know. And then like the animatronics, I don't, you know, I'm done with that. That's another part of my life that I'm done with, you know.
So we'll get to the other question about, you know, are you still collecting? If you are, what? We'll get to all that in a second. But thank you, Lotus. I think that's a great segue into Rock. Do you want to tell us your story?
Yeah, I mean, I got into collecting when I guess the what are the green card Power of the Four Star Wars figures came out. I bought them. I didn't open them. Had totes of them. Stopped collecting. Then when my son was born, I think it's around when the 25th anniversary line came out, 2008, and I was just buying all the Joes, and you know, then it was fun to buy stuff for him and us to play with. And then one Father's Day, Melissa gave me some money. We went to our first Comic-Con. I bought a Minton box Zartan, you know, unopened for $125, and that just got me hooked on vintage, you know. And then I started buying Star Wars vintage. I mean, I remember my first GI Joe mint on card was Crystal Ball for $25, and my first two Star Wars mint on card was Bib Fortuna was $35, and the Rancor Keeper was $25. And then I wanted to get all the Star Wars mint on card, and I did. I got the first 77, but I was buying everything. I was buying Star Trek and Robin Hood, and I was buying Indiana Jones. I was buying anything. I was just compulsive. I must have been addicted to the hunt and getting packages. But as of, I'd say, I mean, I haven't been feeling it for a while. I mean, I stopped doing the podcast in March or April when work got busy, but I'm just at the point this stuff brings me no joy. I have my room. What I have that's not on eBay, I'm keeping. I like looking at it until I get to that point where I want it gone. But I like listening to toy podcasts still. I like looking at the pictures of what's coming out. I have zero interest in walking down the toy aisle now and being like, oh, what's out there? I did it the other day to see if it did anything for me. I don't know. I just reached a point in my life where I just am done. I think I aged out. I mean, like, I must be in like 100 friggin' Facebook groups, but it's like the community that I thought I wanted to be a part of, kind of like I feel insulted by. I'm like, I feel like it's just men babies complaining about shit on every fucking thing. If somebody finds a garage sale and they bought something for a good deal, it's just like people just ragging on them, or I just got to the point where the toy collecting just kind of not that it skeeves me out. It does something to me now. It's just something about the community, the collecting of it, and I feel like it's a fucking cash grab from all these companies. I'll tell you too, like the Dr. Mindbenders, right? I pre-ordered those just to flip. They were selling for $130 on eBay. I got mine delivered. The price instantly dropped from $130 shipped. It dropped to like $99 shipped. I ended up selling them for $87.99 free shipping. I made $15 on each one. Yeah. Like it just shows you how the market is all built on them trying to put out as much shit as possible to make a fake hype that the shit's limited. And then you see Hasbro blowing all this shit out on these 30% clearance sales. Ollie's getting the fucking Starscreams at $60? They're selling for $15. The classifieds for $4.99. I feel like they're just preying on people that just have like look at how many G.I. Joe figures are coming out with. It's just they're trying to pull everything out. And I got into a point where the real world shit, we're on the brink of World War fucking III every day between Ukraine, Israel, China, Russia. And I'm like, I don't want to be the guy worried about World War III breaks out. I got to go take my fucking toys and put them in my car because this shit's valuable. I got to the point where like, there's so many other real world things going on. And I just started putting my money into shit I'm enjoying. Like I enjoy driving a fucking $70,000 Mercedes now. I love being a fucking baller in that car. I like doing all kinds of work on my house. I'm just like, yeah, that would have been 2 action figures. You know what I mean? Like, it's just I got to a point like I like being part of the community and showing, oh, look what I got in the mail today. Yay, give me likes. Yeah, it just does nothing for me now. It's just like I said, I have my 5 detolfs. They're filled. I got my spinner racks. What I have is staying on display, but I'm really not looking. I'm still buying Blockbuster videos. You know, that's my thing. $5 here, $10 there. But I don't know, the toy thing, like a switch literally got flipped one day, and I'm just like, I just don't care. I don't know what happened.
Well, for Rock, it started with your pool, though. Remember, like that's
Oh yeah, I
really.
sold
I
off
remember.
yeah,
I remember a huge sell-off for the pool.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. Like I look at how much enjoyment we got from that pool and like having people over and entertaining, and I'm like, oh no, we didn't have this in my other house because I was buying fucking toys. And now it's like I got this killer backyard, you know, it's fucking all brick and trees and tiki bar and, you know, big fucking built-in barbecue with a fridge and granite. And it's like, and people come over and they're pressed palm trees. I mean, went all out. And I'm like, you know what? I was selfish by buying fucking toys for all these years because this plastic shit meant more to me than making other family happy. And we spent more time outside than I ever would have spent with these toys. And it just got to a point where it's like, I mean, that's just, I'm not being judgmental on anybody else. Everybody could do their own thing, but it just got to a point to me like I shouldn't be working all this overtime so I can like, I'll go buy on eBay. Like I remember the big joke, Lois, with the free money. Like, yeah, you were right. Like that free money was fun because in a way my wife didn't know about what was going on with buying stuff on. Like I sold something, made money, bought something else and worked out. But I look back and think about how much money at least for me, thankfully, I look at it as it was an investment because should I paid, you know, 125 and I sold for 1,200 and even should I made little bits of money on, but I'm just kind of glad I'm done with it. And I feel like a lot of it was feeling to fit in. Like I want to be part of these groups. I want to comment. I want to post or you want to answer questions. And, oh, I know what accessory that guy goes to, or yeah, that figure came with that vehicle. I just got to a point like it just doesn't mean anything to me anymore. It just really, it was like cold turkey, but even like going to Comic-Con, I skipped all my cons this year. Had a chance to go to Baltimore, had free passes to go, didn't go. Stopped buying comic books. I just would buy them, and I'm not reading them. Or if I read them, I didn't enjoy them. But not just toys and though, but there's other things too. Like I have a hard time recently, like even watching TV. A lot of stuff I have a short threshold. If I'm watching something, if it doesn't get me, I'll shut it off. I'm just. I don't know if it's just, you know, since my dad passed a couple of years ago, like between that and, you know, after COVID, I don't know. Just, I feel like I've just changed as a person. I just feel like I'm almost a 50-year-old man. And I don't know, it just feels weird being in the toy aisle and just, I don't know. It just got weird for me. Just, I don't know. I don't know. It just, I can't really put it all into words as well as I would like to, but I just got disinterested from the whole community. Nothing personal, anything happened to me. It was just shittiness in the community. It's all about, you know, people trying to sell something. It's all the laugh emojis. Whoa, where'd you get that price? Well, it just, I don't know. I just got tired of it.
Yeah. The shit talking in the community is just off the rails. Like, you know, Open Your Toys is probably one of the only communities I've ever been a part of where people aren't flaming people, you know, where people aren't just fucking constantly talking shit. And it's because we're so small, right? I mean, when you post something and Open Your Toys, like you get like 30 to 40 people saw this. And that just means they, you know, scrolled, you know, and it triggered something in the algorithm. But yeah, I feel you with that. Like I have never, my local group even, man, they fucking flame each other on there. I'm like, we're locals. You're going to see each other at toy shows. Like, why do you treat?
Well, that's what was really nice about running into Ed Arndt. Like one day I was, I drove somewhere to do something. And on the way back, I told Melissa, I'm like, I just need to drive around today, just clear my head a little bit. And, I went to go stop at a vintage store they had a re-grand opening and there was a flea market going on in the same parking lot. And no shit, I see a bunch of classified Joes and there's Ed Arndt selling a bunch of stuff. And we talked for like a half hour in person. And the guy, Gil Tucker, real nice guy. He's like, you just have fatigue. You just have collecting fatigue. And I think that's what it is. It's been collecting pretty hard since 2008. And I think you reach burnout. I don't need to keep up with the Joneses. Like there's some high-end Star Wars groups I'm in where people always showing off the latest and greatest prototypes and this and that. But like, I'm at that point where, yeah, that's great. But it's like, man, you know what you could do with a $10,000? Like, you know what I mean? It's I don't know, plus between that and not for not. I mean, I make a decent living, but just inflation, everything's gone fucking berserk price wise. Like, I don't know about you, like my car insurance went up 25%, my homeowner's insurance went up 20 some odd percent. Everything has just gone skyrocketing, and I'm just like, I'd rather put money towards other things. Even though I did piss away a lot of money to a what do you call it? It's the car's a bad investment because the car goes down in value, so that's a bad investment, but a depreciating asset, I should say. But just, it was more like, I just looked at everything going up, like food shopping, everything, all the groceries. I just thought like, yeah, you know what? I just don't need to spend it on toys anymore. And it just, luckily, it just cold turkey was able to just cut it off.
Oh yeah. I wish I could be that. Mrs. McFavorite did that with smoking. Just one day she was just like, oh God, I don't like smoking. And then didn't smoke anymore. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I drive by I drive by a car where there are like cigarette smoke wafts in. I'm just like, oh, I wish I was that person, you know, that kind of thing and shit. But well, good for you, Rock, man. We were joking before you came on the show that this show kind of has been the impetus for a lot of hardcore collectors getting out of collecting. Lotus, Vern, we're going to hear Vern's story later on. He left us a video message. But yeah, it's just one of those crazy things that I'm kind of with you with the family, especially is I start looking around, and if I can look around and see like a Hawaiian vacation in my room, then I'm probably not doing life right. If you have a family, you know, I mean, like I say, if you're a single guy or whatever, or, you know, if you've got the money to burn, then that's one thing. But when I'm complaining every year, we don't ever go on a big vacation, but yet I've spent $12,000 on toys that year. That's probably my shit isn't in the right order there. So
kind of what I realized was like, you know, I could be doing stuff for, you know, making my house worth more valuable, making it more enjoyable. And it was like, you know, happy wife, happy life. And I was like, you know, it's better off kind of, you know, we all enjoy the backyard. You know, we've had how many pool parties this year? I mean, it's cool just having a bunch of people over and entertaining and just having a fun. And just like, you know, I'm like, this is what we should have been doing all along. And it's like, oh, great. I got this fucking Boba Fett that's AFA, whatever. What are we gonna do? Invite everybody over? Ooh, look at it, you know. And it's just, I'm glad I sold when I did, because the market has fallen out of fucking toys, man. It is. And because
out of modern, worthless, at least.
Like
vintage is
not vintage has fallen off a fucking cliff too.
I'd
say it's literally down.
Yeah, dude, vintage Kenner is real low right now.
Yeah, even G.I. Joe. I've seen vintage Baronesses sitting on Facebook for $650. Like they used to be like a $1,300 figure. I mean, the values have gone down. Wow. I'd say at least 40%, if not more, minimum.
Talking about pre-pan or not pre.
Oh, they're down from pandemic highs. Right. They're at least down. I say vintage is down about 40%, except for maybe your grails, like your Boba Fett's and your Snake Eyes and your top tier people. But like, I've struggled to sell shit on eBay. I mean, I've even adjusted my prices, and I've just to give you an example. I normally sold 25 to 30 grand in toys. I'd be lucky if I sold a third of that this year. Yeah, the market's just down that much.
Cowabunga dude says you're a stronger man than I, Rock.
You know, it's just, I'm telling you, I think you guys are all going to reach at a different point. It's just when.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be the guy like to deal like when my father did. My father died, and I had, what was it, 50 something full size autographed helmets and 70 autographed football jerseys, and my dad told us it was worth 30 grand, and we got $4,800 for it.
Yeah, because they're from players that
nobody. Joe Namath. It was Joe Namath. My dad had more shits on by Joe Namath, and it was like this guy played in the Super Bowl in 1969. How many people are still collecting from that? That was like I just bought recently. I bought a Britain's. They're metal figures from England, hand painted lead miniatures. I bought tons and tons of a guy's wife, husband died, wife was selling them. I paid $200. I filled up my trunk of these sets. Each set's at $137, $147, $89. Oh, I was literally selling for $35 to $45 on eBay. They're worthless now because nobody's buying miniatures from Napoleonic, Civil War, and those people are just they aged out. Yeah. We're all going to age out of this shit. It's just going to be a matter of time. If you sell before, it's going to be pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. And that's what
I'm looking at because, you know, we're all going to downsize. I mean, I'm not going to live in a fucking 5-bedroom house forever. I mean, I'm eventually going to sell this house and move into a 2-bedroom condo or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's eventually, I'm not going to have a room to have my toys. Yeah. You know, and then who's going to be buying this when we're 15 years from now? You know what I mean? It's going to be like, because this generation of kids aren't buying action figures. There's going to be no
nostalgia for anything.
No.
Yeah.
We are, you know, it's like we're like the Vietnam veterans right now of toy collecting. This is we're a dying breed. I hate to say it. I don't want to be the downer. It's also that's why I didn't want a podcast for so long. I didn't want to bring anybody down to feel bad about collecting. But I just got to that point. I'm like, we're a niche group. And if you look at how many people do what are those things, the crowdfunding things, you could see how many people are the diehard niche collectors. And you know what I mean? Like watch when that Hiss tank comes out. You're going to see the price. You guys talking about the Sky Striker a couple episodes ago. Those things barely sold for above what they went for. And then Big Bad Toy Store got them.
Yeah.
You know, so it got to a point where the secondary market is almost non-existent. Tell me, is there any classified figures worth anything besides Mindbender and Serpentor?
And I don't research them, so I can't. But
I honestly don't think there's. I don't think there's many that are probably worth anything above retail.
Yeah, I mean that first Snake Eyes, you know, the 00, you know, I sold that for like 120. But
even Black Series Star Wars figures, there's a few that are probably worth something, but then they re-release them. So
now
the secondary
the archive
just does not exist. Or it's not, there really isn't much of a secondary market. I see it with the wrestling figures. That community is, there are so many companies they're pumping out all this stuff. And it's just like and they're niche, small market companies making these $40 custom kind of figures. And like the community, it can only support so many. But I just feel like we're all getting to a point where it's going to be like, we're going to be retiring or looking to retire. And you're going to be like, well, you know, I'm not going to be, I'm on a different budget now. I'm not going to be able to buy toys.
Yeah.
I mean,
at what point are, you know, people going to be going to garage sales and it's just boxes and boxes of vintage collection or classified or, you know, like I can't even, because there's so many out there. As soon as a majority of people want to get rid of them, then you're selling figures for $2.
This was an old school flea market where people literally parked their car. They set up a couple of folding tables. I cannot tell you how many Power of the Force carded figures were there that were $4, $5. Yeah, the bubbles were a little yellow. Maybe the figures they're not mint, but it just shows you like how many people bought these things and held on to them. How many people are holding on to multiple classifieds, multiple Black Series? It's going to be like, I don't think they're going to retain their value.
Well, we talked about it. I've got a classified for Badass because I buy 2 of everything because you never know when something's going to strike gold or something, you know. But.
Yes, you do. It's just not.
Exactly.
So, I mean, honestly, guys, that's why I haven't been on because I didn't want to be a downer and I just didn't want to like sitting here just shit on stuff because I wasn't buying anything and don't plan on buying anything. It just unfortunately I've just kind of the ship has sailed and it just doesn't really bring me that thrill anymore.
That's why I told Slick I hate these shows. They're a downer.
Yeah, Cliff was like, "Great, I gotta be
great. Rock's coming on. He's gonna fucking bring us all down."
Has nothing to do with you. Every time Slick is like, it's a discussion show. I'm like, "Fuck, guys."
I mean, I feel like it's kind of like a toy intervention in a way, because I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie, Jason. I mean, when I listen to, like, when I hear the podcast and you're like, this was my FOMO, and you're like, I still got in 10 toys this week. It's like, I'm not buying anything, and I'm like, fuck those 10 toys he bought. I know some stuff you couldn't pass up or this and that, but I'm like, damn, it's like,
you don't have to take it easy on me.
It's just kind of like,
I give him the business, Rock. Don't worry, you hear it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I could picture like Jessica probably being like, well, I'm glad you're doing the, Jomo list or whatever, because, like, I don't hear that no more about. I used to come home and be like, you got a fucking box sitting there. There's a big box waiting for you. And I was only getting one or two, but it would be, boxed pretty well. But it's just like, it's nice not to hear like that anymore about, like, you got a big package sitting over there, or you have multiple packages. It's nice not to come home and not worry about, so I didn't steal my package off the porch. I'm waiting for a vintage, whatever it is. Yeah, it's just a different. I feel like there's a big weight off my chest not having to buy stuff.
Yeah, I feel
and now the money just goes in more expensive places. Still spend, but different areas.
Brinkalizer says, "Quit robotics." So Lotus, did you ever get the band back together before you sold?
I have Rolf, Fats, Billy Bob, and that was basically it. Just those 3 characters. And I do have videos of them all operational and singing different songs and stuff. I just haven't posted anything. So, yeah, I was only able to restore 3 characters before I decided to stop.
You got to sell them. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie's hitting.
Yeah, that movie is hitting. That's right.
It looks good, but it looks exactly like that bad Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah, exactly.
You mean all of his movies?
You mean that awesome Nicolas Cage movie? Like, he doesn't say a word in that one. It's awesome.
Yeah, it just plays that pinball. Like,
I fucking love Nicolas Cage.
Brinkalizer says, "How's your mouth?" So I think that was what, like 20 minutes. It's fine.
So you didn't drink the milk?
No. Then I didn't even take a shot. I was literally going to take a shot and say, this doesn't count because it's just going to make it burn more. But no, didn't do anything. It's fine. My stomach, I don't know if it's a mental thing. It feels like there's something going on in there. But it could just be a mental thing. Paul Schreiber in the house. Welcome, welcome. All right. Badass, why don't you talk about how you got into collecting? What are some of your favorite things to collect?
So I got into collecting when I was very young. So I remember watching G.I. Joe on TV and Transformers and He-Man and all that fun stuff. And I remember my dad coming home from sea and bringing me my first G.I. Joe, which was the Vamp with Clutch. And just being absolutely amazed with that thing. Amazed by it. Like, this is like mind-blowing too. I can't remember how old I was back then. And then just, I always stuck with G.I. Joe. I loved G.I. Joe as a kid. Transformers, I liked it. Would I say that I would actively, people would give me Transformers or I'd get it for birthdays? Yeah, I'm gonna keep it. Star Wars, again, not the biggest fan of it. I thought it was cool, the stuff. I actively wasn't buying it. He-Man I loved from day one. There's a funny story that my mom tells every fucking time about how I was a kid and a Wolco and I'm losing my shit in an aisle because I wanted a He-Man, and I'm screaming this at the top of my lungs. I want a He-Man. I want a He-Man. Anyways, yeah. So I actively collected all through my childhood, all the way up until my teens.
So when you say collected, are you keeping things
actively
in
buying?
The box?
No, actively buying.
Well, because all kids are actively buying, right?
And playing
but
with
you're
them.
saying through your teens. You were
But
still like you're using chore money, and then
yeah,
your
yeah,
job
and I was,
money, and that.
and
kind-
I'd still get it for birthdays. I'd still get it for Christmas. I remember one year my dad for Christmas got me the entire line of Tiger Force, Python Patrol, and gave me the Rolling Thunder because that's how locked in I was on it. And again, like I love Mask when it came out, all that fun stuff. And then when I got into my mid-teens, I kind of fell off of it for a bit, and I kind of stored it, what I did have from my original stuff, and started being a stupid teen and loving the pussy and the drugs and the drinking and everything else. And then I think I'd say about early 20s, 19, 20, I started to come back into it again. And that's, I think, about when like the Power of the Force shit started coming back out, because it went dry for a few years, right? Like after 94, there was nothing until 2000.
They call it the
No,
dark times. It's
Yeah, the
dude,
dark times.
From 95 to 2000, it was heavy. It was heavy. It was 85 to 95 that there was nothing.
yeah, those are the
Was
dark
it?
times.
Yeah.
Okay. So when Power of the Force didn't come out in the 90s.
95.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
95?
95.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm getting old. That's what re-sparked everything back again, and then I was in. As soon as like that weird G.I. Joe line came out, the 2000, or the one where they had the weird mispaints of like Zartan and
Sigma 6?
No,
No,
he's talking
no.
about like the Toys R
The
Us collection.
2-pack.
the
Yeah.
2-pack,
Oh, okay.
2-pack
Toys R Us
O-rings.
packs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then again, I was buying like steroid Luke and Big Tits Leia and all that stuff, and I was
You call her
in.
monkey face around these parts.
Yeah. And then when they started re-releasing the Transformers, I was buying the re-releases of like Optimus Prime and blah blah blah. So I was collecting pretty heavy then, and then I sold my collection off again. And I think I was going to move to Vancouver, and I wasn't quite sure what I was going to go there. I was probably like 25 then. It was either going to stay in Victoria, and I needed to change profession because I felt like I was done at my chef career, but I wanted to either evolve to a much bigger city to evolve my cooking, or stay here and figure something else out. I ended up staying here, selling off my collection, and then I met my wife, and then I started recollecting again. And I was collecting pretty heavy back then. We were living in this 3-bedroom townhouse. I had one room that was just solely fucking toys. And then my dad passed away. And then I got a huge inheritance. And the switch flipped in me where I needed to start collecting in-box G.I. Joe and on-card G.I. Joe. So it just, buying lots for cheap, suddenly money didn't matter to me anymore. So that's when I sparked my in-box collection and my on-card collection. And then everything after that had to been in-box or on-card. I wouldn't take it any other way. And then I started buying Transformers because suddenly I wanted to recoup my childhood from Transformers, like all the cool ones that I saw as a kid that I couldn't have because my parents could afford it, but suddenly now I can afford an Omega Supreme in box, and I can afford a Pearl White Jetfire in box, a Megatron that's in good shape, and then I really went all in on that. I was collecting hard, and that's when like Phantom Menace was coming out, Attack of the Clones was coming out, so all the Star Wars all the Power of the Force stuff I sold off, and now I'm collecting all the clone troopers, the fucking drop ships. And we moved into this house, another 3-bedroom townhouse. My youngest daughter was just born, and she was living in my other daughter's room. They were bunking together. but eventually I knew that they would need a room at one point, or she would need a room at one point. So I knew it was getting bad when I had to get a storage unit. And it was a big storage unit, and suddenly that storage unit became too small of a storage unit. And it's either now I get a twice the size storage unit, or I need to start curbing my collection. And again, same comments from my wife at the time. 10 more boxes showed up. There's another box for you. How much did you spend on eBay this week? And all that shit. And then we moved out of there. We got a big house, and I had like a downstairs rec room. So I was able to pull all my stuff out of storage, have it all set up there. And then I started collecting, getting into the like hot toys and what else was I collecting at the time? Video game consoles, stuff like that. And in the process there, as well as when I decided that I needed to, I was part of the local community here. And then eventually there was a falling out, and I ended up ousting myself out of that community. And then I felt like I needed to get back into the community, and that's when I was listening to podcasts, and that's when I started listening to What's on Joe's Mind, which therefore crossed over into Star Joe's, which therefore crossed over into Open Your Toys. And then I decided that because I was leaving so many voicemails and everything else, that I might as well do my own show. So then I went and put this whole idea together, had talked to a bunch of people. We were going to have 4 people on the show, and we were going to do reviews and interviews and stuff like that. And then 2 of those guys dropped out the day we were going to air. Me and Dave stayed. We started the show. And I had cool guests. I had that's when I met Slick and Miss McFavorite. I invited them on my show, and they came on, and we had a great 2-hour show.
Yeah.
And then I had Kirk Bazigian on. I've had the guy who voiced Dr. Mindbender. I had him on my show. I had a lot of cool hosts or cool guests. And then it just got to the point the editing took forever. And when you have to hear your own voice for 2 hours and edit it, it fucking wears you down.
Yeah, that's why I never wanted to edit this show.
Yeah, because you listen to your own voice is monotonous. It really is.
And now, even when I edit it, I don't listen to it.
Yeah.
I amplify the intro and outro. I normalize the whole thing. And
I was putting sound bites in.
I've never heard a single episode of Beta ever.
Yeah, I'd put sound bites in. I'd have to edit certain things. I would tell guys during the show, because it was never live, right?
Yeah.
So I'd be like, you say whatever you need to say. Let me know at the end of the show what you want to edit out. I'll get it out, and then we'll just move on. So again, I'd have to listen to it 2 hours straight going through the show, and it just got too much for me. Then me and my wife split up. So now I'm moving out of this house with my entire collection. It took me, with 7 other people, 5 full-size trucks, 3 truckloads of 5 trucks to get all my collection out of there. That's just collection. That's not furniture. That's not clothes. That's just a collection.
That's not the important stuff. Who needs
Yeah,
furniture?
exactly. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I could sit on my inbox collection and sleep on it. And then I've got this small apartment, which I'm in now. And I remember throwing everything that I had into my office and just closing the door for 2 weeks because I couldn't even be bothered to deal with it. And I remember how much stress it was coming the day I decided I was going to open that door and start going back in and organizing everything. And I got everything pulled out and went through, and I had stacks of shelves, and basically this office you couldn't even walk through. You basically you huddled through this little aisle, and it looked like a hoarding mess. And then half my stuff is sitting at my ex-wife's place in her storage because, again, I had too much stuff. And it became super stressful. Like I was definitely having anxiety about it. I resented collecting for that period of time, to the point where I would just look in my office and I'd be like, I need to get rid of this. Like I can't. If I have to move again and do this, I don't think I can. Like I don't think I can do this again. And then I met this girl, and she was a real piece of shit. And she brutalized me. Like she just fucking demeaned me to no end. And
to try to get you to stop collecting,
no, she was just
or
a horrible,
just in
shitty
general?
person. And just in general,
Okay.
I'm old and I'm ugly and I'm fat and you collect toys and you're old and stupid shit like that, to the point where it broke me.
Sounds like wife material to me. What's the matter?
Yeah, oh yeah. Things how I was the one who split her marriage up. Yeah. And then we split up, and I was pretty broken. And I remember walking into my office going, I need to make a change. I need to make a change in my life. I sold most of my collection was gone. I sold it all. I spent 3 years making a pack that every week I had put at least 10 things on. So I would do that. I'd start it on a Monday, have it posted by Tuesday. It would be in the mail by Friday.
Nice.
And I sold off, I'd say 95% of my collection. That was all my inbox stuff. That was all my carded G.I. Joe. That was all everything. And I started getting into cars. That's when the car thing hit. And then I started buying cars. So I was making all this money off selling all my toys. I was buying cars, and
You got to put it to something.
Yeah, and I was building cars and loving cars, and then I remember getting back on this show, and there was rumors of the 6-inch G.I. Joe line coming, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm a 3 3/4 guy all the way. If they make a 6-inch line, I'll never fucking buy that. How stupid is that? That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. And then I saw that 00 Snake Eyes, and I was like, I'm in.
105 pre-orders later.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
and then
Cliff, don't go too far. You're next.
I've been collecting. Maybe I'm a little hard. I usually buy things in store now. I'm not generally an eBay buyer. Like, if there's something I really want that I missed, then I will buy on eBay, but not generally. And then they made the Masters Origin line. I was like, I'm fucking back in. And then they started reissuing the classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm like, I'm back in. And then the Ultimates line came out, and I'm like, I'm in. So my collection is nowhere near what it was before, nor is the obsession level that it was at before either.
That's good.
I definitely can. It's hard for me to step away from the G.I. Joe because, again, the numbers thing, I got a thing with numbers. And when you put numbers on boxes and you're collecting, you have to have the number sequence or it looks fucked up. So that bothers me.
100%. Yeah, that's very important.
Like, Hasbro definitely invested on a good person for the marketing. And it's like, if anybody has any kind of mental disorder and we throw numbers on boxes, you're going to get that market. Guaranteed. So that's kind of where I am with it. And I still build cars. And that's not any fucking cheaper than what I'm doing now.
But I think it gives you a greater sense of accomplishment, right?
What,
once you've
cars?
Totally, cars.
Yeah.
Once you've totally rebuilt it, but it doesn't give you that instantaneous hit, right?
No, it's not like
that
going
serotonin, like you found something that you've been looking for.
Going to GameStop and going to Toys R Us and going to Walmart.
You got
like,
64 and you had 63 and 65.
Yeah, I have a complete run now from 1 to 10. And Thanks, Hasbro.
All right, Cliff, did you step away, or are you there and just off camera? He must have stepped away.
He's waiting till we talk about great Transformers.
Yeah, his favorite.
Well, let's do this real quick before Cliff gets back. I think everybody. So, Badass, you've talked about how you heard about us.
Yeah.
Rock, you've talked about how you heard about us. Lotus, did I miss it, or had you mentioned had you heard about Open Your Toys Cast?
I think I was just searching for podcasts back in, I think around maybe 2008, 2009. I think I was just searching for podcasts and podcasts regarding toys and different different genre around collecting and stuff. I'm pretty sure that's how I stumbled upon, and then I just started listening to every single episode. And I was big into going into stores and looking around and seeing what was there. I'm obviously a big Transformers collector. I collected all of the classics line and all the Chug stuff, and so I was out there collecting. I loved listening at the same time while I was out there. So
I mean, that's what I would do on toy runs, is listen to toy podcasts.
Yeah.
And I think, was it Brad that brought you in the Plastique Boutique? Was he the one that recommended you to me? Or how did you?
I'm not too sure. I mean, I would just, I was just, I would just comment on, I'm pretty sure I was, no, I don't know. I was sending in, I would definitely, I don't think I was sending any voicemails, but I was definitely sending in comments and stuff, I believe.
Yeah, he may have been the one that turned me on to Swage, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I got an iPod Touch for my first Father's Day, and I remember finding like Joe Rogan and Adam Carolla and Mark Maron, and then I found Star Joe's, and right after I found Star Joe's, that's when I found you guys, and What's on Your Mind started later. And I mean, I feel like it's nice being an OG of listening to podcasts, but I even feel like I've been hearing this from a lot of podcasters, not us, like famous comedians, that like podcasting is kind of going away. That really it's more about YouTube, because they just talk about how way more people watch it on YouTube than actually download. That's for more for comedians podcasts I listen to, that I see that they'll get 700,000 views on YouTube, and I know they're not getting that many downloads.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's kind of the weird thing too, is, I think when we went video, I think it helped out a lot. You could see what we're talking about, as we're talking about it and that kind of thing. Especially, I feel a lot of our listeners are probably not the most hardcore of collectors. Brinkalizer and maybe KJ might be, the standouts outside of that. But, my whole thing when I started listening to podcasts was I just put it on during work. And at the time, I wasn't having a little YouTube videos playing in the bottom corner like I would towards the end. It was just all headphones. It was all just on my phone or my iPod and, listening. And Rock, like you say, your job, you can't watch stuff while
That's
you're
why
doing
podcasts are my favorite thing, because I literally work 10, 11 hours a day between I'm either driving or I'm outside, but I always have the AirPod in my ear. I mean, I'll pull it out to talk to a customer, but for the most part, I'm always listening so I can burn through lots of content. The problem is too, like there's too much content out there. Then there'll be a podcast. I'm like, holy shit, I'm 10 podcasts behind, and I start to give up on some of them. But you kind of have to like pick and choose. But I mean, I still love the podcast as a means of media. It's just there's just so much content out there. It's like watching TV. It's just there's too much out there right now, and a lot of it's not good. A lot of it. So.
Yeah, Brinkalizer says YouTube is my go-to now for consuming podcasts. I even pay for YouTube Premium. Good idea. If I was sitting at my desk all day watching podcasts on YouTube, I'd definitely pay for premium. That would be easy.
Yeah, it'd make my night easy when I was working graveyards. I'd listen to What's on Joey Mind and then go through Open Your Toys and go through Star Joe's and then go through new Toy World Order, all that stuff. Like, it just made the night go by. There's no way I could physically watch anything because of what my work was, but
Exactly.
What was George's and Aileen's podcast?
Toy Break.
Toy Break. I love that. That was great.
Oh,
that
God, I loved Toy Break
really
too.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all designer and art toy stuff, but it was so interesting to me because it was so completely out of the normal collecting podcast. No one ever talked about any of that stuff, and it was so huge back then too. About Fig says, man, as a kid, I had a bunch of WWF bone crunchers. Once I got to 8th grade and middle school, I was in the closet about my toys. In high school, I didn't buy any more figures. It wasn't cool. Wasn't until after I finally had a car in my early 20s, got a decent paying job, and Mattel took over the WWE license, I started buying wrestling figures, and that led to other lines. Now I collect a bunch of stuff, and sure, when I get packages in the mail, I get the side eye, but hey, I ain't married, no kids. I'm paying my bills, rent, car, etc. All right, Clister. This is going a lot longer than I thought it would be. It's up to you guys. Let's just keep going. If you guys need to drop off at a certain time, completely understandable, but Cliff, why don't you talk about how you got into collecting and some of your favorite things?
Oh yeah, so well, I really never got into collecting. I played with toys when I was a kid, and then Power of the Force 2 hit when I was like 15. It was right on the verge of when I was still kind of playing with toys. Was buying those all the time, but then I just kind of stopped playing with them. I was just buying them and putting them on my dresser. Used to display shit on my dresser and kind of swap that out every week. Did that through high school, was buying toys constantly, didn't give a shit. Kept doing it, would go on dates with girls to the mall, and we would go to KB Toys, and I was like, hey, this is just me, and they were like, whatever. Whatever, it just was what I was. Then, when I was in my early 20s, it's when I was really starting to, smoke pot all the time. I was still buying toys, though, mostly NECA stuff, mostly movie stuff. I'd go to Suncoast Video, pick up a new NECA figure here and there, new core toys, shit like that, and that would just kind of be on display in my room and stuff. And then it was really when I was getting clean off heroin, when I was starting to, right when I was kind of in the depths of heroin addiction, the Indiana Jones Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out, and there were new Indiana Jones toys for the first time since I was a fucking little kid. So I was buying those like crazy. And then the 25th anniversary Joes, I was buying those like crazy. And then when I got clean from heroin, which would have been November 2008, they talk in rehab about sober leisure. You need to find sober leisure. And right around that time, I had discovered the Sergeant Bazooka figure at Meijer. I saw the Sergeant Bazooka, and I was like, this fucking figure looks like me. So my sober leisure was customizing a Sergeant Bazooka figure into a Cliff figure. And then that's kind of what took over. As I got clean, sober leisure became collecting toys. And, I was collecting pretty much the 25th anniversary Joes. I was completely what I could find, because back then it was really still pre-internet retail. So it was whatever I could find, and then NECA. And that, went into other stuff, started collecting DCUC, and right around that time, the Marvel Legends were kind of dead, and they had started the 4-inch Marvel Universe line. So I was getting all into the Marvel Universe, because 4-inch is my preferred scale. So I was all in on those. And then, I just started buying fucking everything. And only recently, and I know I've been open about this on the podcast and in the group chat, I've been fucking slaughtering pre-orders like crazy. I'm completely out of vintage collection. It's too expensive. I'm completely out of any kind of pre-orders whatsoever on G.I. Joe, Marvel Legends, or Hasbro Black, or Star Wars Black. I will not pre-order any of those lines anymore. If there's one I like, I have no doubt I will see it in retail. I'll pick it up there. But really, all I'm collecting now, I still go back in. I still love to get me some vintage Kenner goodness. I love vintage Kenner. So, like, I just recently was buying all the RoboCop shit. But really, the only lines I'm actively collecting right now that I'll pre-order are Motu Origins and NECA Ultimates.
And are you head first and all in on this Filmation?
No, so because I put all my eggs in the Origins basket, which is like the reinvention of the original line. Mm-hmm. Whenever there's a Motu line I do not collect, for instance, this new cartoon line or the Masterverse, I'll only buy He-Man and Skeletor. So I have He-Man and Skeletor on pre-order for Big Bad, but those are the only two Filmation figures I'll get. Just He-Man and Skeletor.
That was one that I was like, I think I'm going to be all in. I'm all in on Jomo, but I haven't pre-ordered any. So,
yeah, your Jomo is working better on me than it is on you. Like, I'll be completely honest. Like, I just don't have. Like, I stopped hunting the Moss Man just because I just didn't give a fuck anymore. I was like, either I'll find it or I don't. I'm not going to go to because Walmart fucking depresses me. Like, that place is where people, like, where happiness goes to die. Every Walmart I go to is the bleakest, most fucking, like, morose. So if I find it, I find it. If I don't, I don't. It's $40 anyway, so I'm already pissed about that. So if I don't find it, that's fine. But everything else, the $25 6-inch figure, I'm not even into 6-inch anyway. So for them to get to $25, I'm like, I don't need any of this. So
yeah, and Black Series $26.99 now. Jesus Christ,
not a chance in hell.
30 with tax.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, let's see. I think most of you guys have talked about where you heard about Open Your Toys Cast. Cliff, did you say where you heard about us?
I've talked about it on the show before, but I was right when I was getting into listening to podcasts. I did a search for Mask. I found a podcast called Obscura 80s. Obscure 80s.
Oh yeah, Obscure 80s. Oh,
and you and Mrs. McFavorite were on an episode. So I listened to that, and I just liked your banter between you two, and I just started listening to Open Your Toys. And I previewed earlier in the podcast, but I did go through my Facebook messages. I found our first interaction, Slick. And I don't know if you remember this, but April 8th.
I won't. But
I'm sorry. April 14th, 2010, 13 and a half years ago, almost to the day, you had talked on like 3 fucking consecutive episodes that you were looking for a Transformers figure, and it's here. It would have been an animated Ratchet.
Okay.
For 3 fucking episodes, you're like, I can't find this figure. Somebody please fucking find this figure. I found this figure. I remember too, because I had to Google it because I had no idea what a fucking Ratchet was. And I sent you a message on April 14th. I said, hey, I found and purchased Ratchet today, Slick. If this is what you were looking for, I got it. And I sent a picture, but the attachment is unavailable. And then you responded, this is amazing. Right on. If you're cool, hang on to it and the receipt. There have been all kinds of reports of them popping up again. I'm going to hit my Toys R Us tomorrow, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Burn.
Now, do you feel did that deject you?
I'll tell you my response. My response was, no worries, dude. Let me know. I have no trouble since I split my free time between hunting and making Cliff figures.
Nice. Because I do feel that way. Like I've done that. I've put that call out, like, please help me. And then like somebody's like, all right, I got you. And then I'm like, I found it. That's amazing. Let's see.
Vern's video, or is it long?
What?
Vern's video, is it long, or is it running too late to play Vern's video?
Oh no, we're gonna play Vern's video. We're gonna play Peter's video. We're also gonna do these last couple questions here. So
Oh Jesus! I got a hard out at 8, guys. I got to shower. I got to get ready for work.
Okay, all right. Well, if you have a hard out, because Vern's video is 20 minutes by itself.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, I actually, I told my wife
Okay.
for 2 hours. I'm gonna have to get up soon.
Okay. What do we want to do? We want to do Peter's 6 minutes, or do we want to do Vern's 20 minutes first? What do we want to do?
Let's
We
do
want to
Peter's
knock out
6.
Peter.
Yeah, Peter's
Okay.
sick, yeah.
All right. So I got to figure out how I'm going to do Peter's. I think I have to present, share my screen. Let's see. Let me do Messenger, and hopefully I'm not blowing up anybody's spot here. We're just going to do this. Isn't there a way I can like scrunch down this? Yeah. Anyways. Okay, here we go. Here's Peter's thing. Oh, sorry. Let me pull it up here. Hopefully it'll still share it. Oh, maybe. And then let me get back to the StreamYard. Are we still sharing? Okay, here we go. All right.
Thank you for inviting me to the show. Due to some schedule conflict on my part, I am unable to come on to the show. But please don't let me spoil the fun.
I was washing my hair.
It has been 15 years me listening to this show. I'm still not used to going from listening to watching the show, which is why I reminded Jason to please voice out what you have in your hands during the segment of What You Got. It really does help your audio listener out there. So, okay. I remember back when I started collecting in the 80s when I was living in Hong Kong City. Most of the stuff I got were usually purchased from my parents according to their taste that I should like. It goes from Hello Kitty dollhouse, no kidding, which is why I gravitate toward Calico Critter as an adult, thanks to them, to giant Japanese robot from all different anime series. Once I came to the state, my collecting habit changes to buying Star Wars and G.I. Joe action figures because it was the only thing my family can afford that I enjoy. As they are moving up in the status, I start, to have vehicles in my collection. And eventually, I have other toy franchise like Motu and GoBot and even Transformer. However, my most favorite things to collect is, well, back in my roots. That is Mobile Suit Gundam. When I was a kid, you only get toys when you're either entering your birthday or there's a holiday coming up. So once you get one, it's like the only toy you have for at least several months. So model kits definitely last longer in comparison to buying a already built toy for me. Plus, Goken diecast metal robots are way too expensive for my folks, and that's back in Hong Kong. Those were pretty popular. I was blessed to even have a couple, to be honest. Now it comes full circle for me. I got back into model building and painting as of lately. It is a lot of fun and it enhanced my creativities, and I enjoy it very much. So, one day I was searching the internet for something to listen about the topic toys and happened to find Star Wars Action News. I love the male and female perspective in collecting. Their dynamic is fantastic. I wonder if there is any more podcasts with that kind of format out there. And I came across Open Toy Podcast. I always loved Jason's radio voice and Jessica's sweet, naive whirls about the toy industry. It is a great dynamic between Jason would educate Jessica about certain pop culture things. It also helped me learn when Jason teaches what cool things are out there in the world. Some of my favorite memories are when I won, I won that SDCC shopping contest and have my letter read on the show. Yes, it sounds selfish, but your audience is what makes the show, right? When the host engages with the audience, we go, holy shit, he's talking about me. He's reading my letter. Oh my God. Anyway, it has
He's
been
not wrong.
collecting for me, and I really need to slow down. There are many factors in play. Looking how expensive everything's are these days, and space, and space. I'm starting to sound like a realtor. Location, location, location. Okay, so but seriously, I just don't want to end up sleeping in a room surrounded with toys. Kidding, Jason. Relax.
That's what it
Seriously
was when
now,
he stayed here.
every single thing is up by almost 25 to 45% above what we used to pay before the pandemic. A few weeks ago, I looked into my collection and my older toy photos also. I checked them out and I collect some very, very cool stuff. Why am I still not satisfied, with what I already got? Perhaps maybe, I don't know, maybe I need to turn off the internet? Currently, my new habit of collecting is to obtain meaningful, greater pieces into my collection. Also, I'm looking for things that are more fun to mess with. I'm all about the fun factor and not too much about the display piece, as there's absolutely no room for display in my place anymore. Buy the one definitive character, maybe maximum of 3 different scale, and that's it. Um, my scale of preference are 164 scale, 112 scale, and 118 scale. And army building allowances is now only maximum of 2. Only if I really love it. Otherwise, just 1. 1 is enough. This is the new rule I set for myself the start of this year. I mean, if I could do it all over again, I wish my parents never got me any toys when I was a kid. It is all their fault. I would have been a professional sim racer by now. In closing, my opinion about the state of collecting. Well, companies are overcharging and trying to give us less for our money. The quality of paint applications gone down. Quality of plastic is being more gummy. Lack of additional head scope for every single figure that's released. Japanese toy maker has been giving more head scope these days. And I also dislike the fact that some of the companies make more unnecessary accessory just so they can put it at a different price point. I believe consumer needs to be smarter and not blind by these marketing strategy tricking us to pay more. Okay. I promise, Jason, I won't go into a rant on your 15th anniversary show. Anywho, congratulations on the big 1-5. Let's wish for another big 15. I love how the show is evolving, and now we have even more new friends in the community. Keep up the good work. I'll be listening as long as this show keeps on trucking. Peace.
All right, on.
I
Thank
gotta
you,
give
Peter.
I gotta give it to Peter. I fucking love Calico Critters. I think they have the coolest play sets. I don't collect them. They look very expensive, and I don't have any place in my collection for animals. But the Calico Critters, I do love all the shit the Calico Critters does.
Yeah, I was quite entertained when I started seeing them, and then once I found out that him and his wife were collecting them, I'm like, I would look for them all the time just so I'd have something to talk to them about. Again, we go back to community. People are saying, "Oh, it's all about community, having something to show people to talk about," and I started looking at Calico Critters just so I could tell Peter, "Oh, have you seen this one and that one?"
It's like Playmobil. There's schoolhouses, there's playgrounds, there's stores. Like it's.
I mean, he made lots of very valid points about the collecting the way it is right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. out of control.
The
how
gummy
much
plastic,
products
especially, dude. Oh, it's so
Yeah.
I hate it.
Because you guys got to go. Let's get Vern's video in here.
I'm
And
gonna
then-
just drop off now because my son, he's been sick all week and he just wants to get his room back. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna go now. It's been great. I don't know if I'll be back. I might be.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rock and I
Rock,
have
reach out to
talked.
me on IM. We got to talk horror, dude. It's fucking October.
Yeah, I've been watching it. I've been enjoying it. I've just, I did my whole graveyard. My front yard looks like a graveyard right now. I got like 20-something tombstones out. I'm all into Halloween. It's just, that brings me joy. I got 3 cases of full-size candy bars to hand out already for Halloween. I'm ready.
Nice.
So
Yep,
yeah, we'll
I
definitely talk. But
I
guys,
just
it's
got
been
my- I
it's
just
been
got my
fun. I'm
full
sorry if I was a
sizes.
downer with the toys, but just I think
Good.
we're all going to reach this point at a different time.
No,
It's
I'm
not a
I'm
downer.
balls
It's-
deep, Rock.
It's being real. It's being real, right, Lotus?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
You
Well, it's
just
good to
gotta-
see you guys. Good to talk to you all. Good.
Missed
Thank
you,
you, everybody,
Rob.
who's been listening for all this time, and keep on collecting and do your thing.
Right on, man. We'll talk
All
to you
right,
soon,
guys.
brother.
Peace.
All right, take care,
Take
Rock.
care. All right, good night,
Bye.
guys. Bye.
All right, I'm gonna clock off too, Slick. I mean, I like,
What? Man, you gotta stay, you're not even done with the end of the show yet. Come on.
dude. But if this is a 20-minute video,
Yeah.
it's gonna be done at 8. And so when the video comes back, I just be like, all right, later.
Yep, that's exactly right, Cliff. Come on. You gotta pay homage to the people that came before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Cliff.
Yeah,
I'm making
Cliff.
you feel bad about it.
Everybody else is doing it. Why aren't you? It's all pure pressure. Oh, Vern.
Hey, long time no see. My name is Vern Phillips, and I
He's
am a
whiter
former
than
host
I am.
of the Open Your Toys podcast. And I wanted to come on here and congratulate Jason and Jessica and the rest of the crew for 15 years of podcasting about the 4 greatest action figure franchises of the 80s and all time. And they are Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Masters of the Universe, and last but not least, Transformers.
Certainly least.
So I want to start this off with what are we drinking? So it's kind of lame, but celebration of the 15th anniversary, I had to crack one open. I'm just having a regular Bud Light. Cheers.
Boo.
But because it is the 15th anniversary, and because we drink on this podcast, I'm going to celebrate with you guys with my favorite drink, 100 proof Rumple Mints.
Oh yeah.
I have lost a lot of my time and life to this thing over the years. We're not as close as we used to be, but we still get down every once in a while. And I can't think of a better way or time to cheers up a shot than the Open Your Toys 15th anniversary.
Goldschlager's
So-
classier. It has gold pieces.
Jason,
No.
Jessica, and all of the crew, cheers, salute.
Cheers.
I remember blacking out on that shit when I was younger.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say, me too.
oh yeah. Fresh breath for at least the next 4 hours. So I want to get started off by saying it's been an honor for me to be part of the Open Your Toys podcast. You guys took me in, opened your arms, and welcomed me when I was just a fan of the show. It meant more to me than I think you'll ever know. It was a great experience to be on the show. It was a dream of mine, to be brutally honest. It was a dream of mine. I wanted to be on the show so bad, and when I was given that chance, it was just amazing. And I have nothing but fond memories about my time on the show. With that being said, I Rumple Mints. With that being said, excuse me.
He's gonna have another shot.
Yeah. With that being said, let's get started. Jason sent me some questions. We're going to go over, the questions that he sent me, and let's see what's in store for hopefully the next 10 minutes. I don't want to blabber on too long. So, first question: how did I get into collecting? So, I feel like collecting was almost in my DNA. My mother collected things. My father, my aunt, my grandmother. It was always in our family. Somebody collected something, and even as a child, and honestly, I can't remember a time in my life where I didn't collect something. Rather it be toys, skateboards, whatever. It was I could always collect something. But I could specifically remember as being a kid, playing with my toys. That after I was done, I would set those toys up and display them, and I was meticulous about the weapons and all the accessories. I didn't want to lose anything. So
That's
even
how I
even
was, too.
even all the way back then, I feel like I was a collector, even as a child. So let's see. What are some of your favorite things to collect? Well, action figures, obviously. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. But action figures, again, skateboards. Love skateboarding. That's always been my first love. So as far as a line, it's got to be Masters of the Universe. That's really been my bread and butter my whole life. The 80s was a magical time for kids, and I don't think any kid is ever kids these days will never understand what it was like growing up in the 80s with these toy lines, going into a Toys R Us and the magnitude of toys that was on a shelf back then. And I just remember Masters wise in I guess 84, 83, 84. I was down Light Street in Baltimore with my aunt. We were shopping. It was kind of the place she went to shop on Saturdays, get your groceries, things like that. And we were going to pick up some medicine from the pharmacy. And they had a little toy rack in there. And I remember going in, walking past that toy rack, and seeing this big, muscle-bound, blonde-headed barbarian with an axe and a sword and a comic book, little mini comic. And my aunt couldn't have children, and she treated me like her son. I mean, I could do no wrong. And she bought me my first He-Man figure, and that was it. I remember taking it back to her house and opening it up and reading the mini comic, and immediately I was just Star Wars, done, gone. This was my new obsession. And I just remember loving the fact that it was barbarian and sorcery and had the technological side of it, and it was just all mixed together, and the colors. I mean, come on, those colors. I'm looking at the figures right now, like the 80s colors of those figures, they just pop. And that's something I've always been attracted to with those figures. So yeah, that's what I like to collect. How did I hear about Open Your Toys Cast? So I guess back in 2008, 2009, around that time, I'd found out about Apple Podcasts or podcasts in general, and I searched for toy podcasts, and that podcast came up. You guys' podcast came up, and I downloaded the first episode. I was hooked from day one. For me, you and Jessica's banter was just everything that I could ever at that time could ever have wanted, because I never imagined that. I mean, it was so cool to me to see a husband and wife, come together on collecting, get along, go to conventions, just be involved in that whole lifestyle. And I was like living vicariously through you guys, and it was amazing to me that you guys were, the couple that you were, and doing the things. It was everything I wanted, and even to this day, but that is, to me, what drew me in was the relationship and the banter between Jason and Jessica, and that's still amazing to me. That you guys had just how you just communicated. It was awesome. So all right, let's see next thing here. What are some of my favorite memories? Oh gosh, you know what? I'm going to save this one for last because I think I should. So let's see. Are you still collecting? If so, how have habits changed? Yes, I am collecting. There was a point where I did stop. Like many of us, we stop and get back in. But COVID brought me back in for sure. Like a lot of people, I got really heavily into collecting skateboards, and then when classics came out, that was it. Like when I seen the old style figures, or the vintage looking figures with modern articulation and everything, that was it. Hook, line, and sinker, done, fully into it. Loved them since day one. The way that these companies today are, producing toys for our generation is pretty amazing, considering where we were 15 years ago. Let's see. And how have my habits changed? My habits have changed in a few ways. I do not collect anything that I don't display. So if I can't display it, I don't buy it. Another way my habits have changed for sure is that I used to be a completionist. If I got into a line, I would collect everything. Now I just collect what I like. I'm pretty much just buying the vintage replicas, just trying to recreate that vintage line. And there's other stuff I've bought. I mean, I've been all in on the exclusives on Mattel and everything like that. But mostly I'm just trying to recreate the vintage line, and that's been a big push for me. Masterverse is another thing I'm collecting right now, but I'm going on a tangent here. But how have my habits changed? Probably just the fact that I don't have a storage shed with 28 boxes of toys that never see the light of day and never get displayed and never get appreciated. And one other thing is I'm an open box collector now. So when I get my
very
stuff,
pointed, Jason.
I mess with it,
Yeah,
put it up,
exactly.
play with it, do whatever. And I don't sweat. I used to be fanatical about mint and box and not taking the toys out. Now, I mean, I do have some stuff that's still packaged up, but 99% of my things is opened. So that's definitely a way that my collecting has changed. If I could do it all over again, what would you change? If I could do it all over again, I think if I could do it all over again, I would probably try to enjoy it more. To be completely honest, I would try to I would try to just soak in the moments, which I didn't do when I had my large collection. I was always worried about that next piece, that next acquisition, or next figure I had to have. I never really sat back and enjoyed my toys like I'm doing now. Like I'm really enjoying the collection that I have now. I think at the time when I was heavily into collecting, my OCD was so bad that I just, I had to get that next thing, keep up with the Joneses and things like that. So I definitely would take it all in a little bit better, enjoy things for sure. Let's see. If you're still collecting, what are your thoughts on the state of collecting? I think the state of collecting is healthy. Obviously, stuff is selling out left and right. The toy lines are continuing to just roll out. I think it's a lot easier to collect these days. I do miss the hunts, going out into the aisles and searching things down. But that, that's changed so much. Like if I would have done that with the Masters line, I wouldn't have half of the figures because the distribution is so sketchy, and it was COVID related and things like that. Hopefully it'll get better. But now it's so easy for me. I just go to Big Bad Toy Store, I place a bunch of pre-orders or Amazon or what be it, and place my order, and it ships and shows up on my doorstep. And I don't have to go out there in the aisles and spend hours on the weekends looking for things. And I do miss that to a degree. And when I do find something, I get stoked. Like I'm not gonna lie, like it really like lights that fire back in me. But it's very, very few and far in between that I'm able to do that. So, let's see. I guess and the state of collecting, like I said, I think it's healthy. I don't think that the toys being made today are for children. I mean, let's be honest. They're making these toys for us, and I'm glad because they're putting out some amazing things. I mean, the G.I. Joe classified line is starting to hit its stride. In my opinion, I mean, they're really putting out some nice stuff. Masters as well. Transformers, I mean, come on, and Star Wars, of course, is always going strong. But to me, the state of collecting has never been better for collectors. I mean, the prices are crazy, but the product that you're getting, the way that they're listening to us now, it seems like we are the focus of what they're making, which we always wanted to begin with, To me, that is a very, very good sign of things to come. Now, will it continue? I don't know. As our generation gets older and we start to change and, do other things or sell off our collections and some of us are going to pass away, let's be honest. And then, that generation changes, then collecting could change a lot, because I don't really see the children of, say, the 90s might be the last generation that are tied to toys like maybe the 80s kids were. But I don't see anything. I just don't see a pool of nostalgia for toys or action figures past say the 90s, maybe early 2000s. Right now, it's like everything's video games, electronics, and things like that. And hey, if I was a kid these days, I'd be doing the same thing. But again, I think the 80s was a magical time to grow up and be involved in all this, and to see our love, our things that we love still to this day, 40, 45, 50 years later, still being part of pop culture, still being reinvented in certain ways, and sometimes for the better, is amazing. So I think the state of collecting is good. All right, and last but not least, what are my fond memories of Open Your Toys Cast, or my favorite memories? I have so many. I was a fan. Again, I started out as a fan. I'd send questions in, voicemails, listen to the show religiously, and I remember it like yesterday. It was I guess it was, shoot, when was it? It was 2010. I think it was like January, February 2010, and it was a blizzard in Baltimore, and Jason had asked me to come on the show. I was so excited, so nervous, and it was the first time they'd ever done a Skype, and it was episode 29. I can remember this. So we get on the show. We're recording a show. I'm trying to act cool. I'm nervous as shit. I'm drinking. We're snowed in. I had a whole big jug of Captain. I got completely wasted. I passed out like in the middle of the show. They thought that our connections got cut off or something. I just remember we redid like the second part, hungover, but it was a memory. It was great. It was the first time I ever got to really get to know them, and it was something else. And then in August of that year, we went to Celebration 5 in Orlando, and I got to meet Jason and Jessica, and it was great. They were as advertised, just like on the podcast, super fun, partiers, just a great, fun time. It's very memorable to me because it's right when I first started dating my wife, and then at that time, like, I was trying to juggle the convention and take her to the theme parks, and it was a lot, but it was fun. It was a really, really fun time. And I guess next would be when I was asked to join the show. When Jessica decided to step down, and Jason kind of reinvented the show in 2015. I was honored that he asked me to be part of it. I just, even still, I can't, it's something that I don't think he'll ever understand how much that meant to me at the time. I mean, it was an amazing thing. It was an honor, still is. And, to be part of the show for 70 episodes of hanging out with your, your friends and talking toys and everything. It was amazing. It was amazing. And I wouldn't have had it any other way, And that first show, I remember that first show. I'm trying to think what episode it was. It was, let me look. let me look here because I have the episodes pulled up. I think it was episode.
Fact check him, Cliff.
Oh, shoot, what should it was?
Well, 92 is the first one
Episode
he's
93.
credited as.
That's the first
There you go.
episode that we we were on, and it was me, Dave Draper, Swage, Jason, and it was a 4-hour-long show.
Roger was there too.
And Roger.
I don't know if it's the longest show you guys have had since, but that was the longest show up until that point. But yeah, I knew right there, 3.5, 4 hours. I was like, yeah, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. And
Yeah, Cliff.
it was, like I said, 70 episodes, and it was an amazing ride, and I'm just thankful and grateful that I was able to be part of it for those 3-4 years that I did the show. And I guess one of my last favorite memories is 2017 when Jason flew down, stayed with me for a week. We went to TFCon in in Washington, D.C. Had a great time that week. Did a lot of partying, a lot of drinking, and it was a very memorable week. And I still remember Jason complaining to me about my driving. I was a slow driver, and telling me that my car was a mother's car, a mother van, or a minivan, or something like that. And I just remember that. It was so funny to me. But anyway, I guess I'm going to wrap it up. It's going on 20 minutes here. I don't want to keep going on a tangent, but again, I want to say congratulations, 15 years, amazing. You guys have just lasted the test of time, and I'm not surprised because you've been the go-to for toys for 15 years. You've been a consistent voice in the toy community. You've been a place where people could come to every week, every month, and catch up, be informed, and listen to just some great talk, So for that, I say cheers again. Congratulations. I hope you guys do another 15 years, hopefully longer than that. But, thanks again. I really, really appreciate being on the show and miss it. So thanks again, guys. And I will see you sooner rather than later, or later rather than sooner. Peace.
No, that's amazing. That's what you had to hang on, Cliff. Thank you.
No problem.
I appreciate you. By
He's
the way,
actually one of the few co-hosts I've never interacted with.
oh, that's right. That's right. It came after that little.
And apparently Roger either.
Yeah, I
I even researched it a little bit and totally forgot. Thank you, Roger, for being such a good sport with that. Just a comment on the driving. I drive like my mom. I do not break laws. I do not speed. So if I was commenting on his driving at the time, you can imagine how he drives. But no, that was absolutely amazing. I really appreciate AAA and Vern coming on with a kind of retrospective of toy collecting, of what Open Your Toys cast meant to them, how they participated, and and their thoughts afterwards. It's so appreciated. It's not even funny. All right, Cliff, if you want to sign off, I want to go through these last few questions with whoever's going to hang on.
All right, can I leave with a parting thought?
Yes, please do.
On the state of collect.
How about a favorite memory and then a parting thought?
I'm just going to do a parting thought, but nice try.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
That's awesome.
I don't know.
If it hasn't meant that much to you, it's okay. No big deal.
Oh, God.
If you don't have a favorite memory, that's cool. I'll consider they're all shit. So no big deal.
Actually, do you seriously want to know what my favorite memory is? Because it still to this day mortifies me to my very bones. Is the first episode you had me on.
The reason why I want to know what it is.
It's the first episode you had me on. First or second, Lotus can remember it because Lotus commented on it later. It was just me and you. and then your internet dropped or you backed out of the window and you left me. I had no show notes. I had never been on the show before in my entire life. I had no idea what to say. And it felt like fucking 40 minutes. I'm sure it was like 2 or 3 minutes, but it was awful.
I love that. I love not for you. I love that for me. I am sorry.
I can laugh at it now because it's happened. It's usually when it happens, me and Roger kind of
we're just like, yeah, whatever.
oh, well, you know, like, what about GameStop, Roger? What do you find? You know, but no, my parting thoughts are this. Like, and Vern even mentioned it in his video, how he's like, now is the best time to be a collector because all the toy companies are now focused on collectors. I really don't like that. I love what we're getting, but I do miss toys that are actually toys.
Yeah.
Like, I like the Spin Master series a lot, even though there's fucking no record of who comes out. You just sometimes random new figures show up in the store. I have no idea who's coming or what part of the collection they are. But I still love action figures that are children's toys first. And that we as collectors collect them because that's what we all fell in love with. We all fell in love with Star Wars toys that were made for kids that, yes, also adults bought, and then we grew up into adult collectors. But I do miss that everything is geared towards the collector and there's not like toys for kids anymore. I think that's a huge chunk that's missing.
Yeah, but there's no kids for toys anymore. So
that's true.
Yeah.
But that's
they're doing what they need to do, but
to keep their industry going.
I feel you, Cliff. Like I liked when we would get homage. Like it felt like almost a secret society, right? They were like sneaking in things for us collectors while they were producing kids' toys and stuff like that. So it felt more special. And now we know we're the ones fucking keeping at least these lines afloat. We're not keeping Hasbro afloat. Their board games, all that bullshit is keeping them afloat. But it is a different perspective knowing that they know if they make this classified figure and they don't do a vintage homage, it's not going to sell as well and blah, 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 you know? So now they're marketing to us. They're developing for us, all that kind of shit. And to me, it's gotten to be too much. It is just fucking too much, dude. It's everywhere.
You just got to pick your battles at this point. Like I said,
yeah.
I can't pre-order any of that shit anymore. If I see one that I like, I'll pick it up if I see it at the store. And that's on Hasbro to make sure their distribution is such that they're available at stores.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you were, there's been people that have talked about in online groups, like, what if they just took everything online? Like, would you still collect? Would you still buy this stuff?
Awesome. That would be awesome because it would be so easy.
Because you just wouldn't do it. You'd just be like, no, I might do some classic Origins, but that's about it.
Well, Origins I have to pre-order because their fucking distribution is garbage. Like there's no choice but to pre-order those. And then the NECA figures I pre-order because yes, sometimes Target is inundated with them, sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
That's why it's hard. But I guess Meyer's now getting NECA figures, so I'll have to take a look at that. But yeah, but always it's been a blast, guys. I have work tomorrow. I'm still getting used to being back at work, so
no worries. Understandable. Thank you, brother, for being on. We appreciate it. We'll see you in a couple weeks, man.
Sounds good, dude. You guys have a good one.
Take care, Cliff.
Take it easy, Roger. I'll match your heart.
I'll give you some devil horns for your heart.
Later. Happy Halloween. No, we'll see each other before Halloween.
Yeah, we'll see each other.
Oh, yeah.
Happy Friday the 13th in October.
Yeah.
Next Friday. Take it easy, guys.
All right.
Later.
All right. So you guys down to rapid fire these questions? Maybe not 20-minute long diatribes about them, but where did you hear about Open Your Toys, Lotus?
It was just a podcast thing where I was just searching searching for podcasts regarding toys, and you guys popped up. So it was basically the same thing that Vern did. But I actually
And
said
what-
it before Vern because I actually answered that earlier. In the
Oh,
show.
I'm sorry.
So
It was probably during my one chip challenge.
Yeah,
where
it was-
when you were
my
dying?
entire
When
body
you were in
was
pain.
just trying to compensate.
yeah.
And favorite memory or memories?
Just I would imagine probably the first time that you had me on the show, which I think was like episode 125. And yeah, I was just really, I know Vern kind of was, talking about how excited he was. It's the same thing, I was just a fan. I listened to you guys religiously, as I was doing my hunts, and I know I'm pretty sure I was like sending in either emails or maybe I was in the group and just, answering and trying to help out, people in the group and stuff. And I don't know, you just had a very welcoming feeling, just listening to you guys. And I was just really excited. I'm pretty sure that I think Vern was like about to leave, and I think that's when you asked me if I wanted to be on the show. So
And we all know kind of your answer to the other questions about are you still collecting? Has it changed? We all know
Yep,
that.
no, I'm
but
definitely not collecting, but I still, I go to Walmart. I go to Target. I take pictures of new
Yeah.
things that I see in the aisles. I don't paste
like
it.
flocked moss man.
Yeah, like
Like-
a moss man in the fucking
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, I'm so disconnected from it that I don't know if something is good or bad. But I usually don't get reactions from any of the pictures that I send you guys. And
Except
then
me
you guys are like,
going,
"Oh my
I need
goodness!"
one.
So, but yeah, I don't know if the Moss Man will be there next time I go, because I only go to that specific Walmart like every
I
weekend
doubt
on
it would be
Saturday,
there that
so,
long, dude.
yeah,
Everybody wants Moss Man.
yeah.
But then the introspective question, would you change? If you could go back, would you never start collecting? Would you put guardrails on? What's your
I
thought?
think that was the problem. Is I just didn't really have guardrails. I was trying to do the completionist thing. I was trying to do the number thing, like when the Thrilling 30 came out and everything was all numbered. And then towards the end of the Thrilling 30 line, they actually messed up the numbering, and that made me upset.
Oh, I can imagine.
And then when they added they added certain things to that line that was not retail, that had to be, SDCC exclusives. And I mean, I don't know. I think Vern had a great point that, he didn't enjoy. I think Vern was doing the same thing that I was doing, where, I was just trying to collect, like, okay, so I got this figure. Okay, and now I got to hunt for this next figure, and I got to put it up on the wall. Because you guys obviously saw I was just pinning stuff on the wall. Just doing that. And yeah, I never played with any of my stuff. I just kept everything in box, and I don't know. It wasn't really an enjoyment thing. It was more of a, I was able to find this figure, and then now I have to find the next figure. It's that kind of a thing. So,
what about you, badass? Favorite memory?
Favorite memory is the time where you and Jessica came onto my show and we had 2 hours of a drunken debacle mess. And it was probably the best show that I ever fucking did.
Those guest shows, man, whenever we would guest on a podcast, we would just let loose, because
Oh yeah.
We didn't have to follow our show notes or
Yeah.
anything. We just sat there and kind of, you know, nobody was doing video at the time. So
Yeah.
we would just sit there and listen and just take shot after shot after, you know, we would be sitting in our same setup, you know, like
Yeah.
we would sit at either end of a coffee table that lifted up. And we would sit at either end with all the technology on the coffee table. But then we would just have our shots on either side of us and just be like cheersing and drinking.
I think that was a 3-hour show, and I edited maybe 20 minutes of it, and it was like it was raw. It was raw, start to finish, man.
And you talked about how your habits have changed. You are still collecting. But yeah, that big question that I was hoping I'd get everybody to answer. Would you do it over again? Like, I can't imagine you would say, I collected an entire inbox carded Joe collection, sold it all off, and yes, I'll do it again. Like, after you do something like that, how does that change your perspective?
So I made rules when I started collecting again, and that was I wasn't going to buy anything I already had before, which is vintage. So whatever vintage G.I. Joe I have now is stuff that I didn't sell. I did pick up the odd piece here and there, but
like favorite things,
like
things that just didn't sell because people didn't want to pay the price.
Yeah, no, favorite things like my mail away Duke with his little sticker and stuff. Like those are rare at best. Mail away Sergeant Slaughter, figures like that, right?
Yeah.
My original, which is oddly enough from my original collection, I still have my mail away Cobra Commander. Which I remember cutting flag points up, going to the post office, mailing the check with them out to Hasbro, and then waiting like 6 weeks for it to come in the mail. And
is he still in the bag, or did you at least?
No, he's been long played with. But
okay. I was hoping that wasn't like the first, like, you know, like a bat signal of something's going wrong in your toy buying history.
So yeah, I just made rules for myself. So I try to stay out of vintage because again, I had vintage a lot.
You experienced it, right?
Yeah, I lived
because you say you collected, you know, mint in the box and carded, but when we talked for hours and hours as you helped me with the Joe collection and stuff like that, is while he collected in the box, most of that was loose in the box, right? So you got to experience
it was
kind of, you know, I know you had a lot of like sealed content boxes and stuff like that.
I had a Tomahawk completely sealed. I had a Moray completely sealed, factory sealed, never been opened.
Jesus.
That I picked up for nothing. I literally picked it up for nothing. But yeah, so I don't know if I would do it again the way I did it. There was a point where I tipped over an edge and I just couldn't get. I just fell into that pit. So now for me, I need to be more conservative about how I go about it.
Yeah.
The stupid numbers thing, like, if it wasn't such a fucking illness, then I probably wouldn't. I'd cherry pick G.I. Joe more. But,
yeah, especially the deep cuts they're doing and repainting. Everything is everything.
Tiger,
you know, everything's a crimson, everything's a python, everything's.
I mean, that's what Transformers Masterpiece did. They were doing all these deep cuts of these figures. Unfortunately, you know, they were all Japanese figures, you know, repaints and stuff that I had no clue, you know, anything about them, and it was part of the numbers line. It messed up my numbers.
Yeah, right.
They would do like 3 Diaclone figures.
Yeah,
like, how do you have 3 separate Diaclone figures of the same mold? You know, but you know, I guess so is early Japanese collecting. But Rock made a good point when we were talking about him coming on the show, and he kind of hinted to this. But if you've been with us this long, Rock is not coming back to the show. I felt it was kind of interesting that he kind of like said, "Oh, I might be back," that kind of thing. And I'm sure, just like Vern was back, Peter was back. Unfortunately, Miss McFavorite didn't make it, but I'm sure we'll have Rock back on here. But he really feels like his collecting's kind of done, and I still see Rock stuff from Rock on eBay. Even this morning, I saw him post a couple wrestling figures just because I have a saved search for Rock. But yeah, so Rock, unless he's changed his mind between the time I talked to him in this show, he won't be coming back. And I truly, and I'm sure Badass and Lotus also truly appreciate his time on the show.
Oh, I love Rock. I mean, it's unfortunate, but
me too.
He's growing that way, so I mean, it is what it is.
Oh, and he never told his 7-Eleven story.
I know.
He'll have to be back on just to do
just
that at least. But yeah, I mean, he brought up a good point, man. I mean, there's been some of the most hardcore collectors I've ever known in my life. Lotus, Badass, even you're now back into it. Vern, the same way. He sold everything. He's kind of back into it with Origins and Masterverse, and
he's collecting two of the same line, man. That's slippery slope. That's a slippery slope.
But yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of people. Miss McFavorite, she doesn't collect anything anymore. Maybe this podcast is therapy, and maybe that's what we should evolve for the next 15 years is how to get people to stop collecting. How can we make this so unenjoyable for our listeners that they realize there's a lot better things to be spending their money on? But Jomo, I'll tell you what, Jomo has had a huge effect on my life. And like I say, there's so many pre-orders I didn't cancel. So I still, even though I don't go shopping, I still have toys showing up on my doorstep almost every other day. It seems like a lot of them are getting returned. But I'm still at that point. I don't want to stop collecting. But what I need to do is make changes in my collecting habits. And Jomo has been huge. Without sharing the actual whole thing, right now, I'm at 165 pre-orders that I would have made, just not even thinking like, oh, retro collection pre-order, Black Series pre-order, vintage collection pre-order. Like, I'm at 165 things that last year I would have pre-ordered or been hunting or anything that I have not pre-ordered. That's in addition to, let me do some quick math here. 40, that's in addition to 50 pre-orders that I canceled right at the beginning. So, I mean, that right there just shows you the magnitude of what is out there to collect. And if you're trying to collect everything from the 80s, or if you're trying to collect everything vintage, or if you're trying to collect everything from the 4 greatest action figure franchises, it is no longer economically possible unless you're pulling high, even mid to medium range 6 figures. It's just not possible. You're talking about spending $20,000 a month on what these companies are releasing for all this nostalgia. Now, granted, I follow everything from Super 7, Silverhawks to Ramen Toys, Mask, all this. I follow all of that, and I want all of it. I want it all. I want all the vintage stuff I've never had, all that kind of stuff. But I just don't think it's possible to continue down that route. And so, Badass, classified's one thing, number collecting and classifieds, it's never going to get that crazy. They may release $2,500 worth of toys. They might release 100 figures or the equivalent of beasts and deluxes and all that kind of stuff, but you're still only going to pay $2,500 a year or something.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to do that and Origins and Vintage Collection or Black Series, and then it's one of those things you just can't keep up anymore. Like don't try. And I think Rock had the best point is for him, it stopped bringing happiness. Vern, when he originally quit the show because he was stopping collecting, it didn't make him happy anymore. Lotus, would you consider that was your standpoint? I know you had a lot of things going on in your real life, your IRL, but do you feel like that's why you stopped collecting, because it just wasn't fun anymore? It didn't bring you happiness?
Yeah, I don't know. I just, for me, like I said, all through this, all the collecting is, I didn't have a whole lot when I was a kid. I have a great career, and that allows me to basically, buy what I want. And so that just, I just bought everything from my childhood that I didn't have. And, I have that completist mentality. So I wanted to get everything, like I said, with when I go from game systems to Transformers to Masterpiece to, it's just always collecting a set, and I don't know if any of it really made me happy,
Yeah, see, and that's the worst part, in my opinion, that you don't know if it ever derived happiness.
Right.
But well, you got to meet us. Hey.
No, that was
Hey-o.
but that's the cool thing. Like I'm more happy about just being part of your, being part of the show, and obviously meeting your family. I mean, that was a super fun time for me, just to, in all these years, we finally get to meet, and we had a great time. And yeah, I mean, that's, that's more important to me than any of these physical items,
Yeah. And that's what I always say too, uh, uh, my favorite memories of Open Your Toys cast is everyone I fucking got to meet. Every one of you guys that, like, people don't even, you hear us talking about toys, but the best part of the shows, even with Mrs. McFavorite, like we used to do outtakes and stuff like that all the time when she edited from the beginning and the end of the shows, because that was our favorite discussions. Like, even coming onto this show, catching up with Lotus and Rock, which we hadn't talked to in a while. The end of the show, we're always hanging out for maybe, 10 to 15 minutes at the most, but those conversations mean so much more to me than the 3 hours we talked about new reveals, what was hitting stores, third party, that kind of shit. So, I mean, community really is where it's at, in my opinion. About Fig says, was going to say half an hour ago, I feel like I'm in and I think I kind of meant that on purpose. Is, like I say, I'm not going anywhere. This isn't the show going on hiatus or me having an epiphany that I'm going to stop. But it really is. It should be a wake-up call to anybody out there that is just doing it out of habit. If it doesn't, create a happiness in your life, worse, if it creates a divisiveness in your life between your family, between your finances, between your job, you know, like this is all supposed to be a hobby. And I think a lot of us start getting really, really ingrained in it and part of all of these communities and groups, and they just egg us on, and you see new stuff and you see customizing. I won't even get into that because to me that's a super positive. Like if you're a customizer out there, so long as you're not spending $12,000 a month on custom fodder, you're at least doing something. You're playing, you're creating, you're doing art. But you know, take a long, hard look at yourself and your collecting and your house and your storage units and all of this and say, is it worth it? Because I really hedge my bets on Rock's side that in 5-10 years at the most, no one's going to want to buy anything we have.
Nope.
So if you don't want to keep everything you have right now, you better start selling it.
It would
Because
take an entire generation for our stuff to actually come back and be worth something to someone else.
yeah, exactly. And we'll all be dead, and
We'll be
it'll
long
be
dead by then.
our relatives that didn't ever have to sell the garage or something, and then they're like, holy shit, you know, this mullet is back in style. This fucking flare jeans is back in style. But all right. Well, I've been keeping everybody. Sorry we didn't get to all the questions, all the answers from everybody, but this is the exact 15th anniversary show I wanted. Thank you, Lotus, for being on. Thank you, Rock, Vern, AAA, Roger, of course, and fucking who else
Cliff
was on there? Thank you. That's right.
Forgot Cliff.
He won't ever listen to it, so he won't know.
Bullshit. You'll see a comment pop up from Duke Fisticup. Fuck you.
He's like, I listened to the first 3 minutes and the last 3 minutes, and really? But for our 15th anniversary show, we will see you sooner rather than later.
Rather sooner than later.
Or later rather than sooner.
I was hoping that would be it. Peace.
Peace.